You're up and it's still dark. Kick back with a cup of Joe. You know you've got friends waiting on 1620 The Zone. It's Happer and Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike. Listen on the radio stream or YouTube or podcasts. Anytime it feels right. It's Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer.
Good morning and welcome in. Happy Tuesday. It's Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you this morning. This is, last week we said it was the first day of summer, but then it was like 48 degrees. This is it. It is here.
It's finally here.
It had the smell. It had the feel. It's got a little bit of everything to it. And there's even a hint of the College World Series in the air. That's what I smell. Hi, guys.
Good morning.
Hello, Connor. Welcome back. Do you think that us putting it the week before Memorial Day, was it a little bit too much hubris?
It was ambitious.
We were a little bit just clouded by the want and the desire of the warmth of the sun, and we missed it by about a week. But now that it's here, it feels amazing.
It was ambitious, that's for sure.
Also, sunrise is now at 5:56 in the morning.
That's right.
Just 4 minutes before we start.
In our new fun summer open, which is coming very, very soon, it will make note of that fact. And instead of the song saying you're up and it's still dark, it will make note of the fact that you're up at 6 o'clock in the morning and it might be a little bit of light.
So my curious question is this open going to be just played when the sun's out before 6 a.m. and then once sunrise is like 6:05 or later, we would have to play the.
That's a good question.
original?
So you're asking about the end date?
Yeah. We got to figure this out.
Yeah, maybe like, I don't know, when the kiddies go back to school.
Yeah,
That is actually
sort of when
like
you
that.
assume that summer has ended, kind of thing.
That's actually a good idea.
When we
Feels
do the
like-
chunkies, would mid-August, something like that.
Excellent.
I don't know. We got to think of a good landmark, but yes,
figure
at
it out.
some point, I think in the month of August.
And when we do, prepare for the hottest week of the year. Immediately after we tell you that summer has.
It's usually that first week
oh
of
my
class.
god, that week sucks.
Honestly, you could give me the last 2 weeks of August as the worst time to be in Nebraska, and I could believe like it crosses over.
It's
Sometimes
whichever
going to
week it is.
September,
Yeah,
but
whichever
you
week
know
it
it
is.
when you feel it. Like
Yeah.
this is miserable.
The temperatures are in the low to mid 90s all week, but the humidity is just
Humidity is
unbelievable.
unbearable.
You cannot
it's
walk
bad.
outside without sweating. Yeah. Well, we're excited for that. And we'd be blessed to even get to a point where that would be real because we have an entire summer in front of us.
Yeah.
Entire summer in front of us. And we have a field of 64 for the college baseball championship.
When we do a bracket sim today,
Today's the bracket sim of
it's
record.
with the real field.
Today's the bracket sim of record, and I've already decided that we are only doing one bracket sim. This is it. There's one bracket sim today. It is the bracket sim of record. One button will be clicked, and that's how you
Excellent.
will know. Last time we did this for the NCAA basketball tournament, it nearly told us the truth. Or it told us a version of the truth or something like that.
It told us the truth that I sought, but not the truth that we received.
That's right. It told us the truth that Nebraska would be going to the Elite Eight after beating Iowa in the Sweet 16.
It was right there.
They did not do that because they had 4 people on the floor with a minute left and a variety of other reasons. But welcome. And it is good to be back in a place where apparently the sun exists. I am excited about that.
Yeah, I have a lot of questions about your time over in the great, metro of Cincinnati.
Fire away. We could knock them all out right here.
So what did you do during large stretches of time where you could not call or watch baseball at all?
Well, you always have to be prepared to,
Sure,
to
yeah.
call
No,
a
it's not
baseball
like you
game.
can just mentally go on a walkabout as we have the French Open here
There were some
going on.
I did get the chance to spread my legs a little bit. I took a walk one night, but the walks are really, a few times. But the walks are really dangerous because you never know when the sky could open up and it starts raining. There was one day that was a rain out, and I think it only rained a little bit the entire day.
Friday?
That was whatever the first day was, I think. I can't remember. So
the first day famously was Wednesday. You last called a game famously Sunday morning at 8 a.m. local time.
Yeah.
That was actually only their fourth game of the entire thing. You went there on Tuesday.
Yep.
That was a lot of time.
You average a game a day or a little less than a game a day.
Which is normal.
But what happened is I did 2 in one day, took a day off, and then did another one on one day, and then took less than 12 hours off and did another one. And threatened to do another one after that, but not to be. As St. John's won. So yeah, I walked it. I had Sky Island chili for the first time in my life. I don't
little too sweet.
I don't think that I would go again, but I'm glad I went.
Yeah. Cross it off the bucket list.
Yeah.
No, did you just have like the straight chili? Did you have it as like a chili dog?
So the lady was like, so she could obviously, she could tell that I was swimming in it a little bit. I was
fresh
like,
fish.
What's going on? What in the world is going on here? And she was like, so here's what people normally do. She said it without saying it, which I really appreciated. So she was like, here's what people normally do. They get a whey and then they get a coney. And I was like, okay. And she would explain to me the ways: 2-way, 3-way, 4-way. I think there's even 5-way, but you just add like a thing every time you go up. So I think I got 4. And that means it has the spaghetti, the chili, the cheese, which is awesome, by the way. The cheese is really good.
Mm-hmm.
And then onions.
Okay.
I figured I could throw some onions on there. The next one up would have been with beans or something like that, or I can't remember what it was, but I decided to opt out of the top level of the Skyline chili. And so I went with that. And then she was like, yeah, people usually get like a coney. And I'm like, okay. And you don't think that'll be too much food? She's like, nah, it'll be fine. So I got a coney too with cheese and the chili on top of it. The hot dog was like the smallest hot dog you could ever imagine. It was like a crayon inside of a large bun with just a gob of cheese on top of it.
So the meat to bun ratio was out of whack before it even
way out of whack,
which generally portends to it being a bad experience overall.
Yeah,
in my mind, anyway.
I didn't have a bad time at all. I didn't really love it, but the chili wasn't for me.
Kidney beans is the other one.
Kidney beans.
The fourth way, you get your choice between the onion or the kidney beans.
Okay, so I chose onions.
The fifth, you're just taking everything.
You're just it's a little bit of everything,
slopping it all.
So I walked over there, and it was fine. I don't regret it. I'm glad I went. Now I could tell people the Skyline chili experience. There's a Wawa that was pretty close. I walked over to Wawa.
Never been to one of those.
And got a hoagie one night.
Okay. Those are famously supposed to be really good.
And then it rained on the way back, and I walked in the door of the hotel, and everyone was like, "Where were you?" I was like, "I went to Wawa." And then you were like, "You're all wet," and I was like, "I know." I walked.
They weren't like, "You're covered in Wawa."
Nice. That's a good one. They didn't know that I went to Wawa.
Oh.
And until I told them. There was a Chick-fil-A, there was a waffle. Basically, I went to Marshall's the first day because I forgot a belt.
Yep.
So I got a belt for $12.99.
Matt McMaster, and then you walking around without a belt representing the morning show.
It was very unlike me to forget a belt.
Sure.
And I forgot a belt, and then I walked through the rain to Marshall's one day. Headley wonders if I got the Skyline chili sweats. No, not really. Everything processed fine. I've
only done the Coney dog, and it was a completely fine experience. It's a really sweet tasting chili.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the cheese, which now makes me sad because the way that you're talking about
cheese was good. The cheese was the best part.
Remember, it was. I just remember thinking it was fine. I don't understand the complete disdain or love for it.
I agree.
Does that make sense?
Well,
it exists as a food item.
It makes sense, I guess, a little bit because it is so odd. It is just it's such an odd thing. But my experience
actually
actually
have the
having
dog,
it,
like I haven't done the spaghetti portion of it.
I certainly wasn't offended by it.
Yeah.
I was not offended by it, nor was I over the moon about it.
That was, and like people when
But
they
I
ask
understand
you,
why
they want
it's
you to have a strong
I know.
take on it.
I understand
and then
why
I
it's
feel like I'm
controversial.
coming in with a tepid, like, yeah, I mean, it was a Coney dog. I don't know what to tell you.
But I do get why it's controversial.
Sure.
It is a
Well, spaghetti just makes the whole thing seem bizarre.
it is a controversial food.
Sure.
And it's everywhere. Apparently they have a truck that floats around to places, like a food truck, which would be kind of, crazy. But, there's that. And then there's the whole, so not much, Schaefer, really. I mean, a lot, but nothing at the same time. The hours were like, they just went by and they're just gone. This is a week of my life that's just gone. Outside of the 4 baseball games, which was fun, and the time
You
spent
left a week ago
around the people. Yeah, today was my last day on the air last week.
Just mind blowing.
Did you guys fly back right after that game then?
Pretty much.
Since it was an early.
I did. The team stayed. The team stayed on Sunday, which I was sad for them to have to do that, but a few of us got out on Sunday afternoon. Yes, indeed.
You have to handle all your own travel with that?
No,
that makes it easier.
Yeah, it really does. It really does.
You
So
don't
I
have
was
to worry
along.
about it at
I was
all.
along with a couple folks that wanted to get out, and we certainly did, which was nice. Brasco Park is tremendous. I'm getting close to like putting together a campaign to just get like, I don't know how I could convince people to go. It's a difficult.
I don't think this last week helped.
No, probably not. The last 2 years that I've been there, weather-wise, has been very challenging. I will admit that. But if at all we get a chance to have a really good year in terms of weather, I don't know how that's possible or how to forecast it. People should go. It's so unique. It's so weird, and it's kind of its own little baseball heaven, which is fun. Featuring 4 Big East teams who are all playing for their lives.
Probably the same 4 Big East teams for the next 4 years.
In perpetuity, yes. In perpetuity.
Come on, Georgetown, you can do it.
Yeah, and that was they take care of everybody and do the whole thing as well. So it was a grand old time, but I wish there were more baseball games played in the period of
or
time
less
which I
days
was
that
there.
you were there.
It would have, and for the record, it would have only been one less day. It would have only been one less day. The championship
It just
game
would have been spaced different.
It just would have been spaced dramatically differently. Yes.
Sure.
Instead, we were. I mean, like I opened the broadcast of the first game by saying it because it was the truth. It was the 8th. The one that we ended up on was the 8th different game time for that game. The 8th different game time for the game that we actually ended up playing. The first game with St. John's, which was crazy. But yes, that is where I was. I apologize for being gone. Thank you to Mike Schaefer for doing a tremendous job and just absolutely rolling with the punches. Last week was a complete nightmare for a variety of different reasons. And it sounds like everything went off without a hitch.
It really went well. I mean, I think the thanks goes to Michael Severe for just basically being available.
Fill in the gap.
Complete and short notice to do 3 days of radio. He was all set to do Friday no matter what. And then the bat signal goes up and he jumps in for Wednesday and Thursday. And we had a great time. We got into just about every sort of severe topic that you would.
That's good.
It ended with interviewing Joe Gans on
I
Friday,
saw that.
which was excellent.
Great.
Joe Gans, great interview.
What's Joey Gans doing?
He's the quarterbacks coach at Middle Tennessee State. He lives out
football player.
Maybe the most fascinating existence to me possible, in which he is the exact tale that you tell a quarterback about why you stay somewhere and you put in the work and like your opportunity.
Yeah.
When it comes, you have to maximize it. But if you do, there are very few players in the last 26 years of Nebraska football that are as popular to the fan base as Joe Gans. For showing up, throwing for 1 billion yards.
He died the
in
hero.
2007, in 2008, and because he only played 1.5
exactly.
years.
He did not live long enough to see himself become the villain.
Critique of Gans that I could ever think of was the pass against Texas Tech, where, and it's not even his fault. If his coach wasn't so conservative, they go for the win in regulation and probably get it, and then you're not even playing in that overtime game. I wanted to ask him about that pass, but it felt unfair to bring it up, 18 years later. It stands out to me because I turned 21 that day, and I very much wanted Nebraska to win that game.
If there's ever a time to bring it up, though, it would be 17 years later.
Yeah. Well, what's he gonna? He's gonna be like, well, I made my read, I threw the pass, I've lived with it ever since. But no, he was a great interview. I hope to have him on again for whatever reason. I don't know why. We didn't invent a reason. He's fantastic to talk to because, again, he's at this crazy crossroads where this is now his job to be a quarterback coach, to talk to people similar to him, to try to keep them in, while also acknowledging his life would have been wildly different if NIL existed at that time.
Very
now,
much
maybe
so.
he still sticks around.
That's a good point. I didn't
But
think about
his
that.
payday from 2007 to 2008 would have been remarkable.
It would have been.
It would have been just as, because we'll cover the sport in a wildly different way going forward. Like, that would have been an entire story in itself.
Yeah, and it may have affected this season in a negative way.
Yeah, like you don't know what
I don't know what
to
would have
everything
happened.
else, but he had a great answer when talking about that. He talked about the quarterback competition and what it was like knowing that you beat a guy out in practice, but you didn't get the job anyways.
Yeah.
That whole thing, which we're coming up on 20 years a year from now, 20 years from the 2007 season,
From the 2007 quarterback battle.
Many pieces of that I want to unpack. I mean, he talked about he hasn't heard from Bill Callahan since his last game.
Oh,
like an unbelievable thing to me.
Joe Getz.
And because he's like, our relationship
they're
wasn't
both
even bad.
They're both
It's just
in
like
football.
He wants to bury that entire experience and never revisit.
He really does. We don't talk about that probably enough. Bill Callahan, as much as
I don't blame him.
As much as we talk about Bo never talking about it,
Sure.
and
well, I mean,
Frost,
Bo has because of Compton and all of it.
That's true. Bo's gone on a couple podcasts, and Frost keeps saying
what a sentence to say out loud.
That's
by the
true.
way.
And Frost,
You should not underrate how hilarious that sentence is. Bo has gone on a couple podcasts.
he has
The guy who famously hated any kind of talk that wasn't grease board talk.
well, he went on with a couple football guys, and Frost will keep telling us that he doesn't want to talk about it, but talking about
And
it.
that time he went to the Grand Canyon and someone recognized him.
People forget that was a horrible, horrible time. But Bill Callahan is the guy who really doesn't want to talk about it and has succeeded.
Yeah.
He has not talked about it.
But, I mean, he's also the only coach to have any sort of post-Nebraska career
that's
success.
true. Because I'll tell you why he doesn't talk about it. Because people don't ask him about it.
Doesn't
Because
need to.
he's not known
He
for
made
it.
himself the best offensive
Yeah.
line coach in the NFL. He's been an interim coach since. He's been, I believe, an offensive coordinator even. You talk to the people that he's coached.
It is not
they love him.
It is
They
not
love
a
the guy.
thing he is known for anymore.
No, it's just a chapter of his life that he clearly does not want to revisit.
Wow.
And I would love to make him revisit.
When you take out a chapter of your life, does everything that happened before the chapter go away too?
I don't know.
Does he still get to be the coach of the Raiders that took them to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, I think he's still that, which is wild because I would argue that ended more disastrously than the Nebraska experience. But this apparently went so poorly. And it would be hard. I mean, you're the guy that allegedly everyone dislikes. You just total disdain for everything you do. Everything you've touched goes to crap, apparently. Even though you look back on it now and that era was better than what was to come.
Yes.
In a lot of ways. But no, it was such a fascinating conversation with Joe Gans. And so I appreciate him jumping on, Severe setting that up. That was a great way to go on Friday.
Go check it out. Whether Joey clipped it on YouTube or go back and listen to the podcast from last week. All right, coming up today on the show as we get you ready for the summer. We have our regular Tuesday guests, but Sherman and Jacob Padilla will join us. Also, we'll halfway combine a Monday and a Tuesday show together. So our man of the weekend coming up at the end of the hour here, and our power rankings with tiers, MLB logos. Let's do it. Coming up at 7:30 today. And our very last bracket sim of record. We still will probably do bracket sims, but this will be the bracket sim of record.
Yeah.
Today, as it pertains to the NCAA baseball tournament, which is set. Mission host a regional accomplished. Obviously we'll talk about the matchups and the teams and all that stuff. A lesson that I've learned is just never tweet anymore.
I did one seemingly
Oh no, you did a tweet.
One seemingly innocuous tweet yesterday, and I got these people yelling at me or not understanding it or yelling at each other in the comments to this. All I said was Nebraska somehow got the toughest overall regional and a matchup with the worst team in the entire field. And for some, I don't know, people's brains couldn't handle that. And I just want to shut it down. I just think Twitter is probably a bad place for me.
Toxic
after you.
Which, admittedly, I did go a little bit over the top on the whole toughest regional thing, which is not the problem that most people ended up having with the tweet or with the statement that I made. So we'll talk about that part of it with the baseball and things of that nature. But I want to pull back out, and this is the direction that Will Bull, I think, appropriately took it yesterday when he was on TV on the selection show, which was, hey, man, like when I came here, I said it, and when he said it, I was like, you kind of crazy, but all right, we'll see. You want to host regionals? Fine. It seems unlikely, but you're in the Big Ten. But I think there's a variety of different reasons that has allowed them to get to this point. Most of it is their doing. Some of it is a little bit of good fortune. Yeah, I think from how the conference looks and things.
It's still
like that.
Remarkable to me that we're here. I mean, I was going through that show yesterday and watching it, and it's just like you already know they're a seed because of Sunday night. They put that out, and it's just like this is wild.
Yeah,
I truly remarkable. Whatever happens from here, like the year that they've had. Somebody texts me and they're like, "Should I be getting into this?" I'm like, I think you missed the boat. It might be coming in now.
It might be a little late.
You're just not going to experience it in a way that's going to be enjoyable. I guess maybe if they make the run to the CWS, sure. Otherwise, like the fact that they're here with the sort of team that they have and how they did it is truly impressive.
So we'll dive into all those things during the show today. There's a couple different angles I want to take from it. So we'll spend a few different segments on it. Also, not to be forgotten, Nebraska softball crotch chopping their way to the Women's College World Series. Nice job, the couples from. Well done.
That was impressive. The overall performance.
Okay, probably
incredibly
better. Probably better, but the crotch jump was pretty good.
No, that was great.
It was really, really good.
Not a reason to get kicked out of the game.
Probably not. Textbook stuff though. There from Trey Fromm. They are telling me that Jeep Wade keeps getting commits. Can you confirm this, Mike Schaefer?
I didn't even realize that happened until several hours later on Monday, and I was like, "Oh, look, Jeep Wade, another guy from Georgia.
There's some Jeep Wade stuff.
4-star." I talk about things where you send out an innocuous tweet and people get mad because it gets retweeted by the recruit, and then it's like, I made a joke about how he's the off-season assistant of the year or whatever, playing off of the off-season national championship.
Yeah,
and I have people mad about the joke, but then I have people mad about the content of the joke, thinking that it's a serious tweet. So that you just have people mad. Like, you can't win sometimes.
I think it's time to shut it down. I think that website's too far gone. It might
based on the job and everything. I tweet a lot less. I spend less time on Twitter. I gotta say, it's not the worst thing. It really isn't. We'll see what it's like come football season. I'll be in the middle of all of it.
Also, a CBS Sports article regarding Dylan Raiola from sources. I can't wait to see what that's about. Very, very exciting. Bryce Harper has a thing going on in his life that either needs to be rectified or not. And Nebraska joins
a big part of the group chats yesterday.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. And Nebraska joins Elite Company for the athletic year, dating back to last fall. So that is the setup for the show today. We'd love to hear from you all. 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. You can call or text that number. Tweeted us at @HappenSchafe, at Connor Happer, at Mike J. Schaefer on the Liquid Trucking Zone Twitter feed. Email Connor, Mike, or Joey at 1620thezone.com in the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to our YouTube streamers today. Hello, YouTubers. Like Mike, who says he's going to the Hog on Friday. #Rock Chalk. All right. Is Mike gonna sit in the new part of the stadium that he could go to? The left field that they cleared out. They took the capacity from the upper, 2,500 to about 4,200 because they cleared some trees or something like that out in left field.
Pen?
They could, although that would feel like stolen valor a little bit, but they could. So that'll be fun. And they will have the Arkansas Razorbacks in that very regional. Just ever so slightly. I'm a little bit disappointed that Nebraska actually didn't get Arkansas.
Yeah, I wanted Arkansas.
Yeah.
I wanted give me the narratives of it. Like, give me a week of people talking about that and reliving all of it.
I want to talk about that as we go on throughout the show today. So that is the setup. As always, feel free to leave a comment. Hit us up anyway. We're here for the rest of time, all summer long, here on 1620 The Zone. So I was not able to make it to first pitch of Nebraska's Big Ten tournament semifinal game on, what was that, Friday night or Saturday night?
Friday night.
Friday night. But I was following along with the drama that led into it. That was so much fun. Oh my goodness. UCLA coming through again.
Yeah.
All they do is walk people off, and then they walk off hit by pitch the championship game on Sunday, which was a lot of fun as well. So they come through right at the right moment, and Nebraska's able to sprint out onto the field and get the game started by 11 o'clock, which is absolutely fantastic.
I heard it was like 14 seconds until the deadline once that walk-off happened.
It was,
like, to be exact, it's amazing.
Now, I think they probably would have still played it.
I think Nebraska is pretty committed to playing that game.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
I'm sure they
Michigan felt about it,
but it was funny that it happened 14 seconds or 7 seconds, or whoever had their timers out before the quote unquote deadline, which is really, really cool. And so here, and I wasn't surprised to see some of the talking points that came out afterwards, which was, look at all this weather. This is terrible. They should move this tournament.
They're terrible.
To a place with no weather. And I said, find me a place with no weather. What's up with all this chatter about moving the Big Ten tournament? This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Is there like real chatter here, or is it largely just Oregon fans?
I couldn't tell. It could be just that for Oregon
I feel like there
fans.
was some people that just like got amplified in terms of their opinion of the Big Ten tournament, and maybe it was made into a thing. Now, you have UCLA's coach talking about it, saying that he wants to keep it here and not play it in Arizona.
He's smart.
Yeah, well,
beautiful man.
If you can find a place where there's not weather during conference tournament week,
thank you.
All of these conference tournaments dealt with something at some point in time. There's just weather systems across.
Did you
the
see
United States.
Did you see the SEC one? The SEC tournament. There was a day where they had like they had it looked like an ocean on the outfield. It looked like a pool of water.
It looks like your dirt pond.
Baseball famously is
grass
played in maybe the
grass.
least controlled of environments, unlike other sports.
Baseball games have rainouts, and when you try to play several baseball games in a very short period of time, the chances for disaster are heightened quite significantly. So don't talk about this anymore. The Big Ten baseball tournament should not move out of Omaha. It is a great place for it to be. It is the home of the College World Series. People like coming here to go to that, to play in that venue, in that tournament. And they certainly shouldn't move any sort of tournaments around the country because of weather. Look at what the idiots in the Big 12 did. They moved it because of weather or whatever, and they moved it to Phoenix with 4 people there.
Right. That's the biggest thing to me is, like, I understand there's an element of this where there's a Nebraska benefits because it's right in their backyard and people can show up. It was in Columbus and nobody showed up.
Right.
It was in Minneapolis and
for the
nobody
record,
showed up.
I think it makes the tournament better for everyone, even if one team has a home field advantage. Like, that's something that you have to live with. I'd sure as hell rather have one team have a home field advantage than play it at a spring training stadium and surprise.
There's no way anyone can convince me that Oregon wasn't feeding off of quieting the crowd.
Absolutely.
In that game. Their pitcher was emoting in a way that is absolutely, like, I wouldn't say absurd, but like for the context of a semifinal game in a tournament, which nobody actually needs to win it. Now maybe Oregon needed that game to be a national seed. I think that game was maybe a little bit bigger for them than it was Nebraska, but not so much so. But I mean, clearly all of the emotion, everything coming out of it, like, that's feeding off of the fact that there was, I don't know, 14,000 there on Saturday. I don't know what the exact number was.
It looked pretty good even at 11 o'clock.
Well, the night game was shockingly good. Like, how many people were there? As I watched that, I would like take naps during half innings and then wake up and miss like 2 batters.
Did you make it to the end?
Caught the entire end of it, but like, I would sleep. So they would go to commercial and then I would like doze off for like 5 to 10 minute increments. Wake up disoriented, realize I'd missed a batter or two, have to try to piece it together, watch it, go back to commercial, do the same thing.
And
again.
you didn't just quit. I would have quit.
Nebraska never was comfortable enough. And I mean, you know how I feel about the pitching that they have and so then like I missed where Ty Horn even gets brought in. And I'm like, Ty Horn,
Look at this.
what the hell has happened here?
Mike Schaefer is committed to Nebraska baseball.
Well, I mean,
Give him tickets instead of the big donors.
It was a Friday night. Like I had nothing other than a small child who would wake up early was going to happen either way. And so I don't know. I like late night sports. I mean, one of the adjustments for me with this job is that I don't get to stay up until midnight for a game that goes up to midnight.
It is sad.
I tried to stay up for Iowa-Washington basketball at one point in time and learn my lesson, you know, that you got to make better decisions in these things. Yeah. So, I was up until the finish.
I got a proposal for you. Since you took little naps during mid innings, would you take naps during these 5-minute breaks during the show?
Interesting.
No, I'm not like I'm not a public sleeper. I don't love sleeping in airplanes or on buses or in cars or anything like that.
I don't blame you.
2, I tend to be more of someone who's going to sleep if he's laying down, like the idea of sitting up.
What if we got you a nap pod?
I'd be interested, but I couldn't promise that I would make it back in time for the start of each session.
We'd have to come wake you up.
Well, I would have to like basically just set like a 3-minute alarm on my watch over and over.
Yeah.
And I don't think I would enjoy that.
It would be like, I mean, that would be some serial killer. Like serial killers, I imagine, just like set an alarm every 2 minutes so they don't get murdered. It makes me think
of Kramer's big decision to live like Da Vinci, where you take mini naps throughout the day.
Yeah. I don't think that was a great idea.
It's just not going to go well.
Nope. So if the Big Ten, and this isn't, their contract is up with Mecca after 27, so after next year, but it'll get renewed, would be my guess. Not every situation is perfect here, but if the Big Ten moved their tournament in baseball to the West Coast, they would be total idiots.
Good luck with that, dude.
They would be complete idiots.
I don't think that's even a thought.
I don't think so either.
Like not even Tony Petitti chasing the money gods would do that.
No, I just want to make sure that nobody is actually thinking about this, and maybe it was just the 14 Oregon fans on the internet who were like,
they seem very aggrieved by this. Like, you live in a state where it rains all the time.
Yeah.
You should understand how this works.
But
like,
they have turf fields.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't have mattered.
Move it to a turf field.
You know, because all it takes is one stray lightning in somewhere in the vicinity.
You're
still stopped anyway.
Well, if you were in the Cincinnati area this past week, it just rained. There was no lightning at all. It just rained the entire time. And so get this, what would have happened was, so after we finished the championship game, what ended up being the championship game, St. John's won, like it just rained the rest of the day. Okay. So what would have happened was when we would have come back to play the winner take all final, it would have been later in the day. It was immediate. They were saying that it was going to be an hour after, but it would have been way later in the day. It would have been like 6 or 7 o'clock that night. And they would have played it on the turf practice field that was outside the right center field wall.
Just to get the game in.
Yeah.
I'm glad that didn't happen.
A place that I don't believe had any television broadcast capabilities.
Oh, well, now I'm actually disappointed.
And it would have been, and I was like super giddy about this. I was like, we're about to have our best day ever on the radio. This is going to be awesome.
Well, I'm making obscure references. Well, not really obscure. Seinfeld's not obscure, but television references. This sounds like in Friday Night Lights when they play the game on the field.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't have their stadium that they can use, but they go out and they play on play the game, the pasture.
Anytime, anywhere, baby. Anytime, anywhere. So
make it happen.
Nothing's perfect because weather exists.
That would have been like such an amazing story for the Big East.
It would have been so much. It would have been a part of great lore
on a field that doesn't even have broadcast ability.
Yeah, and nobody has pitchers left.
I assume it had walls, though.
It's a real field.
It's a real
Yeah, it's a real life field. It's just not the field.
It's practice.
Yeah.
Is it shorter?
I don't know. I think it's probably the same dimensions would be my guess.
Did you ever? So Lincoln Southeast has like a practice field that if you play JV and you played against them there, you would play, and they have like a giant wall that's short and left, but it's built high like the Green Monster, but mostly to try to protect the parking lot that sits back there behind it. And so we had a guy hit like a home run, and it was probably like maybe 300 feet.
You just popped it up.
Pop up. And I was keeping book, and I wrote down like E1, and he got so so mad about this. Just like so mad. It's like it's not really a home run.
I had some control.
We played in a really small park in Columbus too.
Did it go over the fence? It was a home run. Damn it. All right, let's take a break. Our man of the weekend is coming up next on 1620 The Zone.
It's time for our man of the weekend. Hope you enjoyed your weekend, everybody. And all that comes with that. I don't know. Maybe you went to the pool. Maybe the pool opened up at your house, whatever it might be. Anybody want to volunteer here? I can go or not.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go first. I have an Omaha individual that helped pitch his team
Omaha man
into the NCAA tournament for baseball. Ty Madison has had a wild year for South Dakota State. And so he threw 10 innings in the Summit League tournament across 3 games and basically gave up 1 earned run in that time. He finished out 5 1/3 innings against Oral Roberts in the game closing win to send South Dakota State to the tournament. Gave up 2 runs, 1 earned in that appearance. But this guy has had a fascinating run. He's an Omaha West Side kid.
West Side.
And
That's a West Side.
Started his year throwing 1.1 innings, giving up 9 hits, 8 runs, 8 earned against UTSA, and finishes out as an absolute bullpen weapon for South Dakota State and Nebraska, likely to see him this Friday.
Wow.
Hi, Madison,
Nice.
my man of the weekend.
A man for South Dakota State baseball. Okay. How about that? How about them winning the Summit?
That's impressive.
That's a great win for them.
Considering, they got buried by UNO just a few weeks before the tournament. So.
Yeah. There's a reason why I said Nebraska they're playing the worst team in the NCAA tournament.
And it was predictable that that's exactly where they were going to be playing.
If they were going to make the tournament, they were going to end up in Lincoln.
There's the closest drive for them. They're not going to make them fly out to UCLA.
Nope.
That's what they did for the Mavericks.
You hashtag respect that.
And South Dakota State has won at Haymarket Park. Like, this is a team that Nebraska famously could not beat a couple years ago.
And it's not going to be that way on Friday, but yes.
Yeah, I hope.
Nebraska. I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen in our next segment. Coming up at 7 o'clock. I have it all gamed out. It's all
I'm
good.
excited to hear that.
Joey, who's your man of the weekend?
I had a tough decision. I really don't want to admit, but I gotta give my man of the weekend to all the New York celebs for showing up to Cleveland, and then Cleveland saying, "Nope, you cannot sit courtside. You have to sit in row 2." But shout out to all the celebs for showing up to watch their beloved Knicks reach their first NBA Finals since 1999. New York is on 11-game winning streak in the playoffs at this moment. This is the first time they've swept a team twice in a single postseason.
I could not tell who was louder, the Bing Bong Knicks fans in Cleveland last night or the Bing Bong Yankees fans in Kansas City yesterday.
Well, analytically, it was Cleveland's fans. I don't know. I was trying to make a Kenny Atkins joke.
Yeah, analytically wrong. James Harden also said like the same thing yesterday. James Harden was like, yeah, I mean, I know they swept us or whatever, but I felt like we were the better team. I'm like, are these people?
I could have given my man of the weekend to James Harden for single-handedly ending his franchise season.
Well, I mean, he does that everywhere he is.
I know, but
shout out to James Harden.
This show existed when they traded for James Harden, and you and I don't watch the NBA enough to know one way or the other, but Joey basically couldn't believe it.
I couldn't believe it. Darius Garland's a much younger guy, and he's a lot better overall player.
Probably would have been able to get one defensive stop against Brunson in that stretch in game 1.
If you feel like you have a team who is on the cusp of going to the NBA Finals and you have the opportunity to go get James Harden and you definitely don't want to go to the NBA Finals, you get James Harden.
He'll get you out of the playoffs.
He'll get you right out of the playoffs. Good
luck with that, dude.
He will raise your ceiling none and he will lower your floor a whole bunch. Shout out to James Harden. My man of the weekend is... It's probably, I believe it is all 3 people in this room.
Oh,
whoa.
We are part of this.
I've won a man of the weekend.
You have?
Wow.
I would imagine a lot of the people listening to the show, but maybe some people who are listening to the show do not win my man of the weekend. It's lots of people. And that would be every person who kept their shirt on at a baseball game across the country.
Yes.
Everybody has gone tarps off across the country.
This has to end.
It's over. It's the bit is done now. The tarps need to stay on. And so if you kept your tarp on this weekend and you went to a baseball game, college or pro, you are my man of the weekend. Nice job, everyone.
And if you're listening to this and your tarp was off, screw you. Put your tarp back on. You're an idiot. What's happened to our country? What happened?
This started when Oklahoma State was mediocre at football. They were having a terrible 1-11 or 2-12 season. This started when a team was so bad that fans just found a way to have fun with it. And then everybody else just joined in, even if you're good or not good. It's stupid.
The Big Ten broadcast gave credit to someone else for starting it, but I think the popularity really exploded with Oklahoma State.
That was the first time I saw it.
Yeah, that was
and so
first.
I don't know who, I can't remember who they said, because I remember being like, well, Oklahoma State, and then they were like, and then people really caught on when Oklahoma State football started doing it whatever year.
Maybe there was a preamble to it that I didn't know about.
Apparently there was.
I did
learn that. And now I've immediately forgot it.
So unfortunately, this is sad, but Dwayne, he took his tarp off during.
Oh, he can't be man of the weekend.
He cannot be man of the weekend. He is excluded from being man of the weekend because he went over there with this microphone and took his tarp off and started swinging around
if
his
you
head.
were on a Creighton broadcast and they do tarps off for a weekend series against Villanova, would you admonish them on the broadcast?
We had one this year where they tarped off.
Yeah.
We actually had multiple. There was a group of children at the Prasco Park who took their tarps off and were immediately ejected from Prasco Park. Yes, they were ejected. And then
no wonder you love Prasco.
When we got back on the bus after we beat whoever, Xavier, I guess. We were taking the bus out and the kids were like walking sadly on the side of the road. And they got a big hearty, like, let's go from the folks on the bus.
That's hilarious.
Which was great. And then I saw one of the tarps off guys on the plane on Sunday. He was like, I was one of the tarps off guys. I was like, well, thank you. I appreciate your support.
Now I'm going to attack you on it.
Yes, I'm admonishing you live on the air right now. Text from the 515. What if we kept our shirt on while watching baseball on TV? That is okay. You are my man of the weekend. Nice job. Like I said, man of the weekend is a lot of people. Gus Mohawk says Connor's not a fan of taking the shirt off at a game, but he is a fan of the beer cup snake. Have I ever had a position on the beer cup snake?
Not that I know of.
I'm not necessarily pro or anti. I don't think it feels a little messy for me. You know, I'm a big decorum guy.
There it is. I've been trying not to say it, just waiting.
What happened to our
if
decorum?
You would say decorum in this as soon as it became about tarps off.
Yep.
And there it is.
So if you kept your tarp on this weekend, congrats.
Fill out your bingo card.
You are a man of the weekend. We'll be back 7:00 hour after this on 1620 The Zone. So what happened, Joey? Our rejoins turned into non-commercial songs now.
I just been trying them out on the radio.
Okay.
I like it. Michael Severe was kind of jamming along to it. So
All right.
if he's listening, you're welcome, Michael.
So, but we can still do the thing where we hide it on the stream, though, right?
Yeah.
And it's allowed because we got to make a new bunch of them. I made like 6 of them, and they just get played on repeat over and over.
Well,
so it is good.
Well, one of them had issues on a stream from the first day I was playing them. So
did we get?
I got rid of that particular one, but I'm not sure if the others.
Okay.
I'll play around throughout the week.
Joey's on top of it. Stay tuned. Our power rankings with tiers coming up in just a couple minutes. Something that Joey's working on diligently right now, as far as his graphic is concerned. I got this email. We're going to talk about Nebraska baseball hosting a regional, but we'll go back to the Big Ten tournament first. And Tarps, yes. Here is Joel on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. Connor, Mike at 1620thezone.com. He says, I have to share my experience from the absurdity that was Friday night. A little backstory. My wife and I were committed to going to that game if it happened because our daughter was staying with her grandparents, but we had to pick her up at noon on Saturday. Awesome. Night out, right? You're available. At the same time, we weren't going to drive from Columbus to Omaha, pay for parking, and then find out the game was postponed to Saturday morning. So we were really stuck in the middle on what to do. So anyway, we left Columbus around 8 o'clock and drove to Fremont. We ate at Buffalo Wild Wings because we knew the game would be on. And worst case scenario, we could eat some B-dubs. Game gets postponed and we drive back home. At 10:10, we're on the edge of our seats like everybody else, except for we know we're going to have to bust our butts to get to the chuck box if it happens. So if we go out to the car and sit in the parking lot with the game on my phone, just waiting to see if we're driving from Columbus or to Omaha, back to Columbus or to Omaha. Because of the streaming delay on my phone, it already said it was 10:20. So then I go to X, and luckily I saw a tweet from our hero, Kyle Crooks, that the game is on. So we tear out of the parking lot and walk in the bottom of the first, and it was finishing up the first inning. One of the most fun games I've been to. It was a real late night party at the Chuck. I would have totally have the opposite opinion if Nebraska would have lost. For the record, my tarp was on for the entire 9 innings. Thanks, Joel. What a great experience.
Yeah.
I imagine for the however many people that were there, it was a very memorable one.
I was talking to a guy on Sunday that was there, and he was just like, it was one of the weirder crowd environments because it was very much a party. He's like, you had a lot of people that were probably overserved.
I imagine
you had a lot of people that did a lot of damage with the beer that they had. Like they weren't rude or anything; they were just loud.
Did they shut down? Did they have concessions available?
I think our own Matt McMaster sent us a text that last call was like 1 a.m.
Okay,
maybe.
So that was probably in what, like the 7th inning or so?
Yeah, around there.
So about normal.
Yeah. So again, I only know it from the lens of sleeping and waking up in between, cat naps, if you would. But it was an enjoyable experience for what it was.
Yeah, it's unique. It's postseason baseball. So if you bared it out, you have a memory that'll last a lifetime, even though you had to recover over the weekend.
If Nebraska wins against South Dakota State and whoever wins between the Ole Miss Arizona State game, I wouldn't be shocked if that's one of the later regional games played. Obviously, you'll have UCLA would be one of the last ones. Oregon could be late as well, but could be like an 8 p.m. start in Lincoln, depending on TV schedules.
And usually TV doesn't matter a whole lot, but in this case it will because Nebraska has the ESPN crew,
Carl Ravitch
and KP.
Yep.
So which I'm very, very excited for them to get the.
Did those guys
experience.
do the Oklahoma State one as well? I'm trying to think of who was on the broadcast.
Oh boy, I was there, so I don't remember.
Right, yeah. That's 2019. I don't remember who it was, but that was chosen as one of the featured games of the whole Saturday experience, and then completely lived up to its billing. So
if you missed it, mission accomplished. Mission host a regional is accomplished for Nebraska baseball. I want to talk about it in a big picture before we get into the Ole Miss and the Arizona State, part of it, which obviously is a challenge. I had people responding to my stupid, idiotic tweet yesterday saying, well, yeah, it's going to be hard. It's a regional. I'm like, it's just a comment. All right. Stop it. Stop yelling at me all the time. It's time. Put your tarp back on and let's calm down. But anyway, what an achievement for Will Bolt, who, like I said, admittedly, I've always looked at a little bit sideways when he came in here and was talking about hosting regionals at the very start of his tenure at Nebraska. We want to host regionals, and it especially ramped up after they went to Arkansas in 2021, and they were not shy about it. They were like, we want to do this and this and this and this, and we want to host regionals. This is what we want to do. And so, I mean, this coming to fruition. They've had a tremendous season, and they're obviously very, very good this year. But I do want to talk about how they got here. And there is a lot to be said about, we've talked about it before, Schaefer, this sort of idea that they found the right formula as far as the chemistry of the team is concerned and where to get players from. And I think they have the right mentality. And so obviously it can't be overlooked that Nebraska is good, right? They are good enough to host a regional. But I don't think adding these West Coast teams to the conference can be overlooked. It is a giant win for Nebraska because they are a team in the Big Ten that is actually trying at baseball. And they now have 4 additional schools in the league and maybe the only 4 others that are trying at baseball, that care at baseball. Nebraska is trying at baseball. They have been this entire time. And I always felt like they were being overwhelmed by the suck vortex of the conference as far as baseball. We're talking about exclusively baseball here.
Sure.
And now you have some like-minded folks in the league. And obviously UCLA cares and USC cares and Oregon cares. And I don't know about Washington's care level, but
I think they do. I just don't think they're that good relative to those other 3.
And so
their gold pants are an abomination to the sport.
Yeah, they tried to look like a football team or something. I don't know what they were doing with that situation. But Nebraska has some like-minded folks now in the league, and I don't think we could overlook that in there. And then there's the obvious your association with the number 1 team in the country, even though you did not play them this year, is important. It won't be like this every year, but Nebraska obviously benefiting from the proximity of being in the same neighborhood of multiple NCAA tournament teams and playing most of them.
Yeah, instead of, your entire schedule being built on the first 4 weeks of having to play all these teams because you're not going to face any kind of competition like that as you get into your conference slate. Instead, you have that stretch where you have Oregon, you have USC, you got Kansas in the midweek as well. And so you played 3, two host teams, a third in USC that potentially could have been. Their RPI number was good. Everything else wasn't quite where it needed to be. But, so you got a better challenge in the middle of the year than in some of these other years. I was trying to think when you were talking about teams in the Big Ten that seem to care about baseball. I would put Michigan on that list. I don't know how much their commitment
in a different way. Yeah.
But
because
Michigan
has this thing where they want to be good at everything.
Sure.
Right? It doesn't feel like they specifically care about baseball,
right?
Although they have a great coach. And
I think because they went out and they've tried to have a good coach makes me feel like they at least care about the sport. But then conversely, you have Ohio State where they have all of this money in their athletic department. Nobody cares about basketball or baseball there from a fan engagement perspective. And the basketball team's fine, but I feel like that is a place where they have the ability to go be even more competitive in basketball. And they're just kind of we're good with what we are.
I know.
Jake Diebler is good enough for us.
Maybe there's a thing where if you are good at football and if you're great at football, like Ohio State is, it can give you this sort of complacency for everything else.
They care about any other sport.
I don't know. I don't know what the chemistry is on that.
It's a weird, conversation because I'm sure there's a bunch of people that would give up the fact that Nebraska has been good at literally everything else to be the 12th playoff team.
See, I wouldn't
that was a conversation, or I prompted the afternoon show on this.
Yes,
and they were discussing it, and it's I don't know that I would trade all of the good that's happened the rest of the year in every other sport.
They've been historically good in multiple sports.
Right. And that's tough for the conversation because obviously football is a driver of all of this. Man, you sit back and you look at what's happened for Nebraska athletics this year. What a banner year for that athletic department.
Yeah, it's weird because we've always referred to Nebraska as a football school, and
Right.
it is, but I've never got the sense that it was a place where you weren't going to get the support and the care for other sports.
What's impressive is that Nebraska, despite not having a big athletic department, maybe that helps it to a degree, but they have attempted to be good at everything.
Yeah.
And I definitely thought when NIL came in, there was going to be like, okay, there's volleyball, there's football. I didn't think baseball was going to get much of a help.
Like
there.
I said, they
I thought everything was
the,
going to be outside funded outside of volleyball and football.
I just thought, like, in baseball, you're in this vortex that's the Big Ten. You're in the Big Ten. Like,
Right.
there's no escaping it. You're in the stupidest baseball conference in the country. In the sense that you have the ability to care because the money gives you the ability to care, but you don't because it's not inside the DNA of the conference. And like I said, maybe the catalyst looking back on this for the league in this sport is adding these West Coast teams.
Yeah, it's going to be how it kind of kicks forward. I'd be fascinated, like which of the rest of the Big Ten teams puts more effort into baseball, or if it goes the other way where it's even less effort than it is now. And it could be.
Yeah.
I don't expect like a Minnesota where they're not putting any NIL to it. Like they kind of had their run with Max Meyer, and that sort of feels like that's the apex of what Minnesota baseball could be.
Maybe. I don't necessarily see him going all in, It's
right.
Yeah.
And then you have there's been teams like Illinois, Indiana, Purdue have had these offshoot seasons where they win 40 plus games and they have good players. And I just don't know that any of it's built to be sustainable.
No.
In the way that Nebraska baseball wants to be.
You have to like fundamentally care and want to be good.
I think
at
you gotta
it.
have the right people in place, and Nebraska, I think, does and will both for sure.
And so, as we expand this conversation a little bit, and once again, we'll talk about the regional itself as we go on here, but I just want to talk about how tremendous of an accomplishment this is. And then, as you expand out, I think the addition to those schools to this league, and we're thinking about it with a little bit of baseball lens here, so bear with me. But I do think it's made Nebraska feel a little bit at home, in the conference. It's odd that they are like-minded to these West Coast schools in the sense that they want to be good at everything. I for I guess pre the West Coast schools coming in, and we had this conversation a lot, like Nebraska felt like it was a little bit on an island in just from a cultural sort of standpoint. And I don't know if I necessarily feel that way anymore. Maybe it's some of like these West Coast schools have come in and there's more new kids on the block. There's probably an air of that to it, but I think more so they kind of fit the identity a little bit of what Nebraska wants to be, and that is a huge help to, I think, what Nebraska is trying to become.
It is sort of interesting because you think about those schools from what they do well and how they kind of carry themselves. You've got two football programs in USC and Oregon that it's a huge deal. You have volleyball programs throughout, UCLA has been better at volleyball. Oregon has been good at volleyball. So they care about that. And then you have the baseball component, you have softball, women's basketball, which is on the rise, nationally.
I think in general,
it's a big deal.
In general, West Coast schools, because of Stanford, just have always wanted to be good at everything, right? Stanford was always really, really good at the Olympic sports, like UCLA has answered, that call. USC, obviously a similar deal there as well. And I think because of that sort of tangential, like the attachment to it, everybody on the West Coast has sort of wanted to be good at the Olympic sports. And that's kind of how I have felt about Nebraska.
I think one of the things that's helped in this, making Nebraska feel like it's in the conference a little bit more is just having been good at everything. They're competitive in everything.
Yeah, that's true.
They're not just this team that's like, oh, well, they were brought in for their football program and volleyball is good and everything else sucks. No, I mean, they're competitive in all things, even stuff. And they've always been, this is a program that gets undersung. It's an area that I never talk about because it's just not something I have a lot of knowledge on, but they've always been better at track and field than you would ever think. For being in the middle of the country and seemingly not having the access to the alleged athletes or whatever else. Nebraska's track and field program has been outwardly competitive in a way that you would never guess.
Mm-hmm.
And now you add in Oregon and UCLA and these other USC, and they're still competitive in it. And so I just can't get over
It just
what a
makes you
great
better.
year.
Like it,
Right.
the competition part of it makes you better. And so like that's what Nebraska baseball in particular, to get it back to baseball, like I think that's a large, not that they've won the conference every year. They haven't had great teams every year.
No.
But the iron really does sharpen the iron. And like having these schools that have come in the league have I think, that combined with the coincidence, I guess, that Nebraska's having a great year this year really made me think about all that stuff. And it's true. Like it makes you better. It makes you want to compete against those other schools and think about, oh, okay, what are they doing? If it's possible for them, then it's possible for us. If they're the number one overall seed in the country, then it's possible for us.
Well, then you look at someone like Oregon baseball, where they show up with all of these freshmen, and all of their players look like they're creative players on a sports video game at 6'4" and everything else. Like that's a team that you're going to be battling in perpetuity, and they're probably going to be pretty good all the time.
They have been.
So, you have to figure out how you're going to compete with that team, let alone UCLA, let alone USC, let alone when you do play the good Big Ten teams that pop up. That's part of the classic conference.
And if you just so happen to, bowl over Northwestern in the meantime, then great. But they're just there as window
Speaking
dressing.
Of, just there. Northwestern baseball. Never particularly good. Has Maryland replaced Nebraska as the athletic program in the Big Ten that is doing the least right now?
They didn't do anything
without baseball. Like, when they had baseball, like it was amazing to me. They showed the leading home run hitters in the conference and the teams with the most home runs. And it's Maryland far and away because of the very small ballpark. They were horrible this year.
They were
really bad.
And they were good when they came in the league.
But they were like bad in everything athletically.
They were bad this year.
I think women's basketball was like their 1+ thing.
And even that, they were what they normally are. Right.
No, everything was down over there in Maryland.
So 3 schools made a bowl game and the NCAA tournament in 5 other major sports. So those sports being volleyball, men's basketball, women's basketball, baseball, and softball. 3 schools across the country made those tournaments and a bowl game. Tennessee, Texas, and Nebraska this year.
And only Nebraska and Texas haven't had a massive revolt from one of those 5 teams. It's amazing. Tennessee makes that list, and then the entire team quit on that women's basketball coach.
That's right. Yeah.
They also made the tournament with an Auburn-esque record, by the way, and then was a 10 seed somehow
in
women's basketball.
Yeah.
They were not good this year and still made the NCAA tournament.
And then had the old revolt, I suppose, afterwards. But man, like I said, what an accomplishment for Will Bolt to put that out,
pull it off.
to put that out there, and then to actually do it in this league. It can't be understated. And like I said, I think they've gotten some help now from their friends in the conference, right? That there's no doubt the association with those really good teams in the West Coast have helped propel Nebraska this year. And they've put together a great formula and a really good team, and they're actually hosting a regional. It's actually happening.
It is actually happening.
And they're taking the early game on Friday, which is a pro move. And oh, by the way, so we'll talk about the teams and the draw and all that stuff.
I got a texter set for 8:00 on, regardless who wins, 8:00, the Lincoln Regional on ESPN Saturday night.
Is that wait? What'd you say?
I got a text from somebody saying that it's set for, there'll be the 8:00 game on ESPN or ESPN2 on Saturday night.
The winner's bracket game.
Regardless who wins it. So if South Dakota State wins, they would be playing in that spot. But.
All right.
Yeah.
By the way, South Dakota State will not win. Here's what's going to happen.
I was waiting for this.
So
sorry, Ty Madison.
Nebraska is going to throw off on Friday afternoon. They're going to throw Ty Horn or something like that. And he'll give them like 4 innings. Nebraska, by the end of 4 innings, will be up at the very least like 6-1 or something like that. They're going to win the game 16-4.
You think they're going to save Carson?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. I think you have to. I mean, as a person who has seen South Dakota State play baseball this year, you are not throwing your top guy against them.
Okay.
You're just not.
Could they throw Cooper Katsky?
Sure. Whatever version of whatever. You just have to make sure you have Yasa available for Saturday, and then another pitcher that you trust in the 2-0 game after whoever comes back out of the losers bracket. So you're going to throw off. You're going to play the early game. You're going to get that extra rest. You're going to play whoever it is on Friday. You're going to have Yasa. Nebraska's going to win 16-4 in the first game of the regional. They're going to run rule South Dakota State, and it's not going to be close. It's going to be a celebrate. It's going to be a huge party on Saturday or Thursday and Friday in Lincoln.
So what you're describing is effectively the Troy game from the NCAA tournament.
Yes, actually, yes. Great comp.
Like where some might spend too much time talking themselves into Nebraska needs to win this game.
Your Nebraska struggled with South Dakota State in the midweek before. They beat them in March, and it was only 5-4 or something like that. It's like, they played them on Tuesday in March, and there was 4 people there, and they weren't throwing anywhere close to their best arms. Now, South Dakota State, I guess, wasn't throwing their best arms either because they can't, because they got to play a weekend series. It doesn't matter. Nebraska's going to win this game by a lot.
Okay.
That's my prediction. If you hear anybody this week try to gas up South Dakota State, then you can listen to them, but just hear me and remember this. On Tuesday, your boy Connor told you that Nebraska is going to win in a rout going away without competition on Friday.
You should tweet this now. Just tweet it out. See how the
I don't like tweeting anymore. Tweeting is
going to trigger some people.
It is. Because I got a bunch of people. I got a bunch of people mentioned saying like, "Oh, you got to win the regional first before you get to the super regional." I'm like, I know. What don't you understand? That I know that how baseball works. You do have to win one game before you get to the next. I'm just not worried about South Dakota State. I'm sorry, South Dakota State. I respect you. And nice job for making the tournament. But you are going to get bowled over in this regional. Just absolutely steamrolled.
Watch them win this game.
They're not going to win.
Then the Husker fans are going to attack you.
They're not going to win. They're not going to win. You heard it here first on Tuesday morning that Nebraska is going to absolutely crush South Dakota State. I don't know what's going to happen in the winners bracket game.
I wonder if Dan Jackson's going to make the drive down for it.
Maybe
we could do the Matt Rule.
We should have him on again this week and talk some trash.
Yeah,
about baseball. Any other South Dakota State alums that we should? Or
Blake Trinan. Should we get Blake Trinan on?
Did he go to South Dakota State? Whoa.
Yeah.
Blake.
That's probably their best Major League Baseball player I can think of.
That's right. I remember seeing that in the prep a couple times when I've done some of their games.
Now,
Blake Trinan. Yeah.
A small Blake Trinan story.
Yes, please.
If you would. Driving back from Oklahoma City, we did the drive through Kansas where you cut off like a portion of it, but there's no like gas stations. You're just on this stretch of interstate that's a tollway.
Okay.
And I did not grab the last gas station that was in the middle of the tollway where everybody pulls into it. So there's about 55 miles. The thing says I have like 60 miles left, but we're in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. So I have to like find another gas station, which is going to take us way off course. And it actually takes us into Blake Trinan's hometown, which is basically maybe 600 people, 300 of which live in a trailer park, and then a Casey's that everyone was at the same time that I was trying to go to visit.
Okay, so it says he's from Wichita.
He is not from Wichita.
But he attended Osage City High School in Osage City, Kansas. Is that it?
That's Osage City, yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Very small, very popular Casey's.
Trinan then enrolled at Baker University, where he played junior varsity college baseball for the Baker Wildcats. And then he transferred to Arkansas, but was denied the opportunity to try out. And then he went into a camp for by a minor league, put on by a minor league baseball player. And then he was recommended to by this minor league baseball player that put on this camp to the head coach of South Dakota State, who then took him. Sat out in 2009 and then threw an upper 80s fastball for South Dakota State in 2010, I suppose. Wow, what a crazy story.
Yep.
Marlins picked him in the 23rd round. And now he
He's a
can't-
World Series champion.
Yeah, and he can't throw anything straight if he tried.
No.
Absolute freak of nature as far as his movement on his stuff. Yeah, but there you go. Just know that you heard it here first. Don't worry about South Dakota State. Not a
Don't
concern.
worry about Blake Trinan.
Don't worry about Blake Trinan. He's not walking through that door anytime soon. All right. Worry about the winner's bracket game on Friday against whoever you get. We'll talk about that as we go on throughout the show today as well. When we return, Blake Trinan played for many baseball teams in his baseball career. All of them had logos. And we rank the MLB logos after this on our power rankings with tiers on 1620 The Zone. 1620 The Zone and Funplex are teaming up for the VIP Friends Night Out giveaway. Grab your crew and level up your summer plans with the VIP Friends Night Out giveaway. You could win 6 tickets to Nights at the Bay at Funplex, a private cabana, and $100 to Party in Style at Funplex, which is going to be a lot of fun this summer. Enter now at 1620thezone.com for your shot at the ultimate VIP night out. And the Nights at the Bay concert series at Funplex starts this Saturday. Must be 21 or older with Lemon Fresh Day. Oh man, Lemon Fresh Day is everywhere, including now Funplex. So get it on that and enjoy your summer. I actually saw some pictures of some friends of mine who were on Facebook over the weekend that were at Funplex.
Look at that.
They hit up Funplex. Everybody's going to Funplex.
I think the pool's just opened as well.
Oh, you have Memorial Day, right?
Yeah. That's when they announced the pools were opening.
The official opening of pools, usually Memorial.
Still got the wave pool. They still got the lazy river. They got a bunch of stuff going on at Funplex.
New roller coasters get a debut sometime in the summer as well.
Coming up. So you're going to want to enter 1620thezone.com. Let's go to our power rankings with tiers. Today we decided to power rank with tiers MLB logos. Schaefer mentioned this earlier. I imagine there's going to be some differences
I anticipate there would be.
in what's going on.
We could end up with the same worst. I think those are maybe not clear, but
We each have tiers. We each have 8 tiers.
Yeah.
now.
Which is a first.
Yeah, we have the same amount of tiers, which is exciting.
I know I'm happy.
Did you do power rankings with tiers or did you just do tiers?
Well, I did tiers and then they're ranked inside of the tier.
Okay.
So,
Mm.
I mean,
This is more of just groupings.
yeah, it's largely just grouping.
You got to do power rankings with tiers. You got to rank them with tiers.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want. Anyway.
I assume the ranking is just in the order of which I place them.
Right, but it needs to be an overall power ranking instead of just.
I mean, this is 1
ranking.
through 30. If you're just going off of how I have them listed.
Well, then that counts. Then,
Yeah.
then you've done it correctly. I have 5 teams in the iconic tier.
Okay, we both use the word iconic. I have it in here twice, where I have iconic great and iconic generic.
So, iconic great is your top tier.
No, elite is my top.
Oh,
tier.
elite. All right.
Yeah. Elite, and that is where my number one, and this is an easy number one for me. The Milwaukee Brewers go number 1, followed by the Baltimore Orioles with their big,
Wow.
happy
Yeah, we're in way different
bird
spots.
face.
Yeah.
Those are my 1 and 2.
Yeah, we're in way different spots. I went for the more classic
Yeah,
You
you'll
know.
you'll find in tier 2 the rest of those teams. that you are going to talk about.
interlocking
Yeah.
letters. I
Mhm.
love interlocking letters. So Yankees, number 1, Pirates, Reds, Dodgers, and Giants.
Okay.
So there's interlocking letters there, and then if there's not interlocking letters, there is a simple one letter that is iconic. So in Cincinnati's case, the C, and then the Pirates' case, the P.
I have iconic great, which is my second tier. These are all ones that you instantly recognize whenever you see it, anywhere you are. They stand out both in terms of how the script font, all of it is utilized, and it doesn't feel generic, which will come up later. Those would be San Francisco, the New York Yankees, Detroit Tigers, the Atlanta Braves, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Sacramento Vegas combination, and then the Phillies.
Yeah. Okay. So we're in the same ballpark as far as like our top couple here. So this one, my second tier is called Almost Perfect.
Oh, okay.
Almost Perfect. Mets, who I got to give a shout out to the Mets. Like the Mets, if they weren't the Mets, I would give them top tier status here. But unfortunately, they are the Mets. I think they knocked it out of the park when they decided to do what they did 60 years ago with this team, right? It's a combination of the Dodgers and the Giants, and you have the colors, the orange and the blue. I think that their colorway is fantastic, and then the NY is perfect. They have a great brand. The Mets do. I like the Mets situation.
We'll keep the spotlight on the Mets here. They'll come up for me later. I had a tough time for what to do with them because I don't give them the sort of credit that you have there. I love their color scheme.
Yep.
I like the homage to everything. I just find it a little more generic or boring, I guess, in some ways.
Yeah.
than where you're coming out with it, but I recognize why you feel that.
I think it's like the appropriate amount of like it's classic while having meaning and still a little kind of exciting and new because of their color scheme. So Mets, A's, Royals, and Twins, but specifically the TC. I do not acknowledge whatever crap they got going on right now in Minnesota. I am not acknowledging it. The interlocking TC is a perfect logo to put on a hat. Even though the Twins are in the division of the team that I root for, therefore I should hate them. I don't. I buy their hats sometimes because of the interlocking TC.
Look at that.
I love the TC. They should put it on all of their hats.
My third tier is called More Than Just a Letter, where I salute these organizations for doing more than just putting a simple A out there. They have a little extra context to it. In this case, we have Colorado, we have Seattle, we have Arizona, and we have the TC of Minnesota.
You got to go with the TC. It's a beautiful, beautiful logo. All right, so now we have the kind of mushy middle here.
Okay.
We split this into a few different tiers. Throwbacks are back. There's 3 teams in the throwbacks are back. Brewers, Blue Jays, and Padres. Throwbacks are back. New school and fine. So these are newer logos, and I have really no opinion on them at all. They're in the middle of the pack. Mariners and Rockies.
Okay.
They seem fine. Old school and fine. So meaning the logos have been around for a long time, but I also have no opinion on them. White Sox, Cubs, Orioles, Phillies, Red Sox, and Braves.
Okay.
All right. So that's I think you had that group a little bit higher.
Some of them, not all of them.
Okay. So that's my kind of mushy middle before we get to the bottom.
So I have a tier called just solid, and that's where I didn't really know, I don't have that strong of an opinion one way or the other here with the White Sox or Toronto. They're just fine. They're fine logos.
Yep.
And then we go straight into iconic, generic, which these are all logos, again, you instantly would recognize. I just don't think they have the same cachet as the ones that are in the above tier. And it starts with Kansas City, then the Cubs, then Cincinnati, then the Mets, then Boston, then the Nats.
Okay. So you had some of those that I put closer to the top in that group. Now we get into some of the wacky categories. I have 3 tiers left. The first of which is called Can't Separate the Logo from My Distaste for the Team.
I don't have anything like that.
2 teams, Cardinals and Tigers.
Okay. All right.
I think they probably have fine logos, but
100%.
But
the
I can't
Tigers
get
logo is legitimately that D, like the old script D.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
I think so, but I don't
make
know.
That so much worse if they wanted to.
Yes, they could.
And I appreciate that they haven't, because if you spent any time in that stadium with all of its tiger statues and everything else that has going on there, they can lean into the bizarre.
Their City Connects suck.
Yeah.
They're horrible, horrible uniforms. But they do okay. I'm sure it's fine. I just can't separate the logo from my distaste for the team.
Fair.
Same thing with the Cardinals. I'm sure it's classic, but I really couldn't tell you honestly because I hate the Cardinals.
My next tier is just called meh, because they're whatever. They're just whatever. We have Texas, we have Pittsburgh, we have St. Louis, and we have the Los Angeles Angels.
Yeah, the Angels are in my bottom tier.
Yeah. And then everything that comes after this tier, there's 5 of them I could do without.
Okay.
So,
you have 5 more tiers left?
No, 5 more teams.
5 more teams. Okay.
I have tiers.
I have a few more in 2 tiers. 1 team in the tier by itself because I really couldn't figure out where to put them. This tier is called Pick a Primary Color. Are you red? Are you blue? You are the Texas Rangers. Yeah. And I don't care about you.
In the 90s, you wore a ton of just white with red and blue as accents.
I don't understand them. They could have been in this bottom group, but I'm going to put them in a tier by themselves. Pick a primary color. And then the final tier is you need a rebrand. And here are the teams that need a rebrand. There are some maybe surprising teams in here. There's the obvious ones in the Marlins, the Rays, the Cleveland Guardians, but the Arizona Diamondbacks, I think they've refreshed it over the years.
They've done a nice job with at least the one that I sent you.
They're in a good spot now.
Yeah,
they're in an okay spot now. I'm fine with it.
Otherwise, I have many of these other teams you've mentioned.
But here are some potentially surprising ones. The Angels, who absolutely need a refresher, big time. The Washington Nationals, who I think need a refresher.
Just a generic W.
And the Houston Astros. I don't think they got it right when they rebranded several years ago.
That is a perfect segue into this tier called Used to Be Better.
Yeah.
That includes the San Diego Padres, whose original logo with the friar, amazing. The follow-up logos with just the brown Padres, amazing.
Okay.
Even the 90s logos, amazing. They've just gotten less interesting as it's gone on.
They went back to the brown and the yellow.
Yeah, it's not, but it's with the S and the D. It's not like the Padres in the script. It just doesn't.
Okay.
One of the things that I like doing with this is you pull up the logos over the time.
Yes.
And you look through it, and the Padres really good for a long stretch. And so just for me personally, doesn't do it. Houston, same thing. Houston's logo's much better. Either you're going to lean into being campy.
Yeah.
Or you need it to look really tidy and nice. They've done nothing.
They needed a rebrand when they did it in like, what was it, 11 or 12 when they switched leagues. But they screwed it up when they did it.
Yeah, they definitely screwed it up.
They're not. It's not good. It's not fun. It's not classic. It's not iconic, and it's not even something that I would strive to buy merch for.
Like,
yeah,
you need to move on from this. And I should have this on the screen somehow, but I don't. But now their logo is basically just an H with a star.
The H with the star. Yeah,
it's lame.
They got better colors than they had in like the mid 2000s, but like,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Like this is not great.
No,
I mean, you go back to this color, but like at least go to the campy one. Or I kind of like the 90s. Like I don't love the color scheme of it with the blue and the bronze, I guess, if you would.
Yeah,
but I like the look of the logo and everything. And part of it is just it makes me think of, Bagwell and Biggio and Bell and kind of that whole team. But so they're in there. And then the Miami Marlins, which were better when it was the Florida Marlins logo in the 90s. My last two, and I think you'll appreciate this. Poverty franchise couldn't afford graphics department. Cleveland, Tampa, welcome.
Mm-hmm.
You can't pay for talent. You win baseball games inexplicably, and everyone thinks your logos suck.
No, they put all their resources into building up young pitchers to be able to trade them.
Yeah. When Cleveland had its more racist logo, that would probably sit really high for a lot of people.
Chief Wahoo actually ruled.
Very, very iconic, famous logo.
Yeah.
Their stupid Guardians clip art thing now, awful.
He basically
the name is awful, and the logos are awful.
He is a relative of Clippy, the Microsoft Word clip guy. He really is. It's not good.
Both of them, their primary and their secondary. I hate them each.
Remember when they did their video with the gargoyles on the bridge or whatever?
I remember that.
That has meaning to the city. It doesn't make sense to anyone else.
No.
It has a ton of meaning to the city and all of that. Great, whatever. Go with the gargoyle face logo over the stupid C, or a clip art baseball with like what looks like wings, but it's supposed to be the gargoyle wings versus just angel wings.
I know.
It's so poorly done.
Nobody knows what the wings are for.
And to do this, they passed up the very obvious and easy thing, which is go back to being the Cleveland Spiders, and everyone would have loved it.
People would have liked the Cleveland Spiders.
So dumb.
Let's take a break. We have the headlines coming up after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, let's take a quick spin through the headlines with our good friend Joey Warcola. Hi, Joey. What do we got?
All right, gotta go. Home player Arthur Jaya takes emergency bathroom break during French Open debut.
I like stories like this, but I get it. You kind of understand what's happening there.
Sometimes you got to go to the bathroom.
It's kind of hilarious how it happened.
All right, that's a good hint. Thank you. What's our second story?
Centennial Franklin High Schools hold graduations in torrential downpour.
Okay, hint time again. Is there any funny stories that come along with this, or is it just like,
I just feel bad for the kids having to sit.
We're
through
going number
this.
one.
We're going to try it out?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, rain at a graduation is not like a completely unique thing.
Arthur Jaya is the player in question here. Takes emergency bathroom break during French Open debut. He ran off the court at the French Open in his debut set on Sunday. Quote, "I need to go to the bathroom. I can't move anymore. I'm going to pee on the court." Jaya told the chair umpire in French before hastily running off court Suzanne Lenglen, which was one of the courts there at the French Open. He's ranked 135th in the world, and he was trailing the 13 seed in the tournament when he made his move, and he ended up losing this match, by the way, in straight sets. Usually bathroom breaks are only permitted between sets, and his opponent protested to the chair umpire as 3 minutes passed between games and a point at the match was not a changeover when players change ends. Jaya said the umpire allowed him the break because of, quote, medical circumstances, and that he was given some medicine to settle his stomach pain. Oh, so he was not talking about pee. He was talking about the other thing. After the match, Jaya said he had not felt ill the night before, but started feeling unwell when he woke up in the morning. Quote, "During the match, it was even worse. I had to go to that toilet really quick." His situation was not helped by the intense heat at Roland Garros, with lunchtime temperatures hitting 31 degrees Celsius, 88 Fahrenheit. "It was harder than usual because I was ill," he said. The 21-year-old Jaya received a wildcard invitation to Roland Garros organizers to participate in the main draw. So he actually had to go number 2, it appears.
He did
during the tennis match.
Yeah, once he was granted that bathroom break, he sprinted over to the bathroom.
Once it hits, man.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could do about it. You better just hope that you're near a bathroom. In this case, he was. And shout out to the umpire for giving him the freedom to make the decision to go, because we did not want whatever was going to happen if he did not get was not granted that decision.
It was worth it to just let him go to the bathroom.
I agree.
Good decision by the umpire.
I agree completely.
Could be the man of the weekend if we had known.
He's definitely Arthur Jaya's man of the weekend.
No doubt about it.
Definitely.
Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly, but we don't probably have to worry about him again. Unfortunately for Arthur, he's just the guy who almost crapped his pants at the French Open.
And will he get a special invite again from the organizers?
I don't think so.
Hard to say.
I think he's probably done.
I mean, as long he made it
I
to the
guess he was
bathroom, there's
doing a
no
bit.
damage.
Yeah. Touch of nerves would be my guess there.
I don't think we get him. He's clearly not very good at tennis. He got beat, and so maybe if he's going to show up in the tournament,
as I explained to you, you don't have to be that good. I told you what Adam Walton's record was.
True, you could make a bunch of money.
Yeah, certainly more than we're going to make.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to see Arthur again.
Probably not.
It's probably done now. All right, those are the headlines from the long weekend. Halfway home, when we come back, we will discuss a few more things from over the weekend. Nebraska baseball and a regional. Softball to the Women's College World Series. Mitch Sherman, Jacob Badilla will still join us today. And stay tuned for our bracket sim of record, all still to come in the 8 and 9 o'clock hours of Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. Peak playoff giveaway is still going on at 1620thezone.com as well. The playoffs are going on. It's peak playoff season, I'd say. And you can watch all the big games in style with a $250 Twin Peaks gift card. And you can win that gift card if you just sign up to do so on our website, 1620thezone.com. Welcome back. 8 o'clock hour of Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, the Zone Radio Network, the Zone mobile app, and things of that nature. Thanks to these gentlemen for holding things down while I was absent last week.
We are the men.
curious.
We
There
are the
was-
men of the week.
There was many attempts to do radio shows. I had many radio shows prepared, and
You just had one segment.
nothing came to fruition.
No, it wasn't even
Wednesday,
that long of a
6:30.
segment either. It was like an 9 minutes.
Yeah, because you guys were late getting to me. Because I'm sure you were talking about nonsense.
I don't
Something
remember.
Michael
Pretty
Severe
much,
did.
you guys had a very lengthy first segment.
You did.
And
It was a 6 o'clock hour.
I should have ended the conversation, but I wanted to see if you guys kept
Yeah.
cooking. And
We kept cooking. That was part of it, I think, for Severe too, like just the difference of having an actual clock versus the roving one. So, because there was a couple times where he asked Sam McEwen a question at probably 8:39, and I was thinking to myself, "Oh no,
It's too late.
4-minute answer.
yeah."
Mhm.
I was looking at Joey, and Joey was getting all nervous.
Mhm.
I wasn't getting nervous.
There
I
was
knew-
definitely nervous.
You guys didn't miss a.
We didn't miss anything. It was
no,
fine.
we did.
Everything was
we
fine.
did good.
Look at that.
There was no problems.
Nice job. Nice
We even
job.
got the read.
Michael
Jim.
know when to stop talking, unlike another Mike S.
That's true. Snow.
He just wanted to talk about his experience. And
He also was not
the high
aware.
No,
Moving
he,
here.
he was.
He was not aware
He
about
wasn't.
our new clock situation. But yeah, thank you guys for holding it down.
It was
Well,
fun.
I was out. We have a bracket, which is great. Nebraska is not only in the NCAA tournament, they're hosting a regional. I will admit, though, I'm a little bummed that they didn't get Arkansas in the regional. And if I would tweet that, people would be very angry at me. But
Probably.
now I'm just saying it on the radio. Hopefully it doesn't get clipped and aggregated. And hopefully Joey doesn't aggregate me himself. But I guess it wouldn't be aggregating. He would be the one actually, clipping it. It would be
He'd be
his
content.
It'd be
I'd
his content.
It would be
but-
my content for later on. I'll be figuring out what will be the clickbait of the day.
I'm a little bummed. I was hoping for that. I was hoping for those fireworks this weekend. Imagine
that'd
how
been fun.
good. Imagine how good Friday would have been if it would have been Nebraska and Arkansas in a winners bracket game. But
Saturday night.
yes, I apologize.
Yeah.
Saturday, but it'll be good anyway. Whoever it is, Arizona State or Ole Miss, because like I said, Nebraska's going to win the first game 16-4, so they'll be in that game. But I'm still a little bummed. This will be good though.
Some of me wonders if I'm like pair ratings pilled because Arizona State made like the CWS. I would say 1 out of every 3 sims were using that thing. And so they would end up in the Lincoln Regional a fair amount of times, but as a 2 seed. And so for them to end up as a 3, it's like, whoa. But
Landon Harrison's coming to town. He's going to love Lincoln,
yeah,
much like Mike Sauter. I love Lincoln.
I think Mike Sauter was loving Omaha when he was covering every state event that was happening last week.
That's true. Oh, that's one thing I missed last week. Everybody opining on where state soccer should be, or state track,
Or state any.
or state anything. Dang it. I didn't
Yeah.
get to mix it up with the people on social media on that one. I'm sad about that.
No, you didn't. You did not. I don't think you missed out though.
No, it doesn't.
I think it ended up okay. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for what this regional looks like. I mean, the thing with it has always been, Nebraska, you got to beat somebody to get anywhere. So
I found that out in the
Yeah.
comments yesterday.
that being said, I mean, you look at the other ones and it feels like Nebraska's is more difficult.
Let's take a look.
At the same time, we'll find out.
So our friends from Pair Ratings, they put together the win probabilities for each of the regions, and this is just based on the stats that they go off of. Nebraska does in fact have the lowest chance to advance according to the Pair Ratings of anybody. in the entire field of any host team in the entire field. And I think as I look across the landscape here, not that there's other 1 seeds that can't lose, it's either Nebraska or Kansas that has the most challenging, whatever it is, that has the least the lowest shot of a host to get out, I think.
Yeah.
With that being said, I do think Nebraska has a pretty good chance. Obviously, they're the favorite to get out of their region. And I guess I don't know, I haven't put together like a prediction in my head of exactly how it's going to go after Nebraska beats South Dakota State 16-4. But I think what you hope is that Ole Miss and Arizona State beat each other up in the Friday game and they lose their pitching because of it. I think Nebraska will inherently go into the Saturday game with an advantage because I don't think they'll use Carson Yasa on Friday. And that'll be a good thing. So they'll have their ace who's ready to go for one of those really, really good teams, whether it's the really good hitting team or the really good pitching team with good hitting. We will see.
Is Arizona State the highest 3 seed percentage chance to win a regional?
Looks like it.
By a pretty
substantial margin. Yeah.
Anybody else even over 10%?
12.7 for NC State
and 19% for Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, there you have it. So yeah, I mean it's going to be certainly a fight, for Nebraska, but a lot of it comes down to will they have their pitching avoid big innings, and can their offense come through and put up big innings? I mean that's been the recipe for Nebraska baseball. Is that the offense has been able to kind of carry them in large spurts. You get just enough out of your pitching. You get the ball to Jayshon Unger late in the game, and he's able to kind of close things out. So that's going to be the formula again for them, regardless of whether it's Ole Miss or Arizona State. And because by virtue of being the 1 seed, you give yourself the opportunity to not have to play in that 2-3 game as they've had to do in every regional appearance since 2008.
Which means you have to absolutely grind your way through a game just to get to a winner's bracket game. And in this case, you don't. I mean, you're just like, unless it gets late in the game and you feel like you have to really pull the Unger, button.
Yeah, in an ideal world, you're not touching Jayshon Unger on Friday.
No, I don't think you are.
Like the other ideal part of it is if Ty Horn gives you 5 innings and you're up by enough runs, you pull him and you try to weave through.
That's how I think it's going to go.
But, or I don't know if you piggyback with Katsky at that point. I don't know if you want to use 2 pitchers against him.
No. I think you'd save him for the 2-0 game. Or the 1-1 game, whatever.
They have enough bugaboos with that pitching bullpen that
it's got to go right. It's the same thing as it is for
your offense to make it a moot.
Yeah, it's the same thing as it is for every other team in the country. I mean, you really, 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 really want to and need to be in the 2-0 game in order to feel like you have a really good chance to get out. I don't know what the percentage is of teams who lose one of the first 2 games and still get out of the regional. It has to be very, very slim. And the only teams that really do it are the 1 seeds in the regionals because they're stronger and they come back to beat somebody who
they make one mistake and then they have a deeper roster and their offense usually takes over by the time you get to game 7.
Got them on the wrong night or something like that. So I think they got a real shot to get out of this, as you would expect for a 1 seed. I do want to go back a little bit and talk about what we talked about briefly recently, which is how do you perform when you are the hunted instead of the frisky underdog. Nebraska is now gone from, like I said, you're walking into a regional as a 2 seed in Fayetteville a couple of years ago. And yeah, people are looking at you like, they could be a little frisky. They could be a little bit scary. And I bet there's going to be some excitement and juice going into that winner's bracket game. And there was, by the way. And some people were picking Nebraska to come out of that. But they were kind of like I bet they could do that if things break right for them type of team.
Right.
Now they are the big dog. You got to win a game to get a crack at these guys' team. I don't know how that works with this team and specifically this program, who has always built its identity off of, being really good with their backs up against the wall. And when people don't believe in them, that's just kind of how they roll. And I think that serves you well in a lot of different areas. Not this one. So I'm curious.
Guess, just a guess, that they will take the approach of, oh, look how this regional broke out for you. Like, you're not expected to get out of this now, even though statistically they are, according to pair ratings.
Nobody believed in us.
Yeah, I think that's the route that they'll probably end up going, would be my guess. Whether that's accurate or not, I don't know. Is it sustainable for this round? Probably. I mean, if you get Nebraska Ole Miss matched up and you ask a bunch of college baseball people, they're probably going to default to taking Ole Miss because of the playing in the SEC and everything else. So
guess we'll find out what the bracket sim says later.
Yeah.
Very scared. Very scared.
I suspect it's going to be a Connor World Series.
You think so?
Yeah.
Have you allowed yourself to dream now that the regional field is set up and you have literally your path is in front of you? You are hosting a regional. If you win, you get through the regional. It's likely a return trip to Auburn, or you're hosting a super regional. Right. So like none of that seems particularly daunting. There is nobody who's standing there in the way who says Nebraska will not get through this team. There has been that before, right? Like last year it was, all right, well, even if you do beat Oklahoma, you got to get through North Carolina. Well, they never even got a crack at North Carolina, because they couldn't beat Oklahoma. There's no brick wall standing in the way of this thing.
I think the fact they've already played Auburn is a very good thing.
Absolutely.
Because then they're not this like weird boogeyman that you can't do anything against.
And I will say they one thing that we identified about this team really early too is they ain't scared of nothing.
Right.
They're definitely not. So now it's just roll the ball out there and see what happens, as it is for every other team in the country.
They absolutely could end up in the College World Series. I just think it's going to be a lot. I don't know that I believe that they have the sort of pitching that can survive, whether it be in the Super Regional against Auburn or even again the regional if they have to play deep into that. Like the more you're asking Jayshon Unger to cover innings to get you through, the more that you need Tucker Timmerman or some of these guys. Like they just don't have enough in the middle of the pitching pot. It's always been my concern for them. It may not matter because nobody else generally has a lot of pitching if their offense comes through. Their offense has to come through for them. Those bats stay hot. You're playing at home. Yeah, that's going to help a lot.
My concern would be this, and to that point, Schaefer, my concern would be you are playing two teams, one team in particular in Ole Miss that they'll hang their hat on pitching. They also play at a bunch of bandbox SEC parks, so they have 100 home runs. Arizona State is actually a power baseball team. They hit 108 home runs.
They're going to be a lot more like Oregon, which was a problem for Nebraska.
Landon Hairston has 28 home runs this year. I mean, he's one of the tops in the country, and he was up there with Take Davis for the entire year,
right?
As far as individual home run hitters. So can Nebraska's offense match up and answer the bell compared to these other offenses, one, and against pretty solid pitching on the other side? That'll be the concern, because Nebraska, I think they'll use the ballpark to their advantage, but so the other teams get to do that too.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so I guess that would be the concern for me. Can you, the pitching, obviously, can you grind your way through a weekend, but can your offense, can your offense outslug? Yeah.
And that's where you hope the fact that you have a really good defense, you tend not to just give away runs, those sorts of things. It just, some of it for me is the imagery of whether it's Blachowicz or Katsky pitching in a have to have it game where both of those guys, when they're on, it's fine. When they're slightly off or their location is slightly off, their mistake pitches get hit millions of miles. Like there's no other way around it. Like Blachowicz pitched very well against Oregon. He limited the damage of those home runs to being solos.
Oh, the wheels,
they weren't cheap home runs.
The wheels really fell off for Katsky on the Oregon game.
Yeah, I mean, Katsky against Oregon is a massive mismatch because this is a guy that had already given up like 14 home runs coming into the Big Ten tournament, and then was playing a team that all they were doing was launching the ball in that stadium, and that his stuff does not play at a high enough level. I think if you threw him against South Dakota State, you're probably going to be fine.
Agreed.
But you can't really risk that in game one.
Yeah, well, I mean, your offense can't go silent, obviously, against, but it's not going to. I'm not particularly not at all really concerned about South Dakota State. So we're talking about a team in Nebraska who I think their offense has been their calling card this year. 60 home runs as a team.
Yep.
You got two teams with over 100 who are coming in, 100 and 108 for Ole Miss and Arizona State. They're both going to be major challenges. But like I said, how it sets up in a regional format, what you've afforded yourself here is you could see the advantage of hosting a regional play out right in front of you before it even happens.
Yeah.
Right? You play what is arguably the worst team in the field in the first game. You are going to cruise through that
really
game.
know that it's arguable.
It's either them or Long Island. Dead serious.
With all the respect to the school that I went to for 6 months, I'm pretty sure it's South Dakota State.
I would love to see a Tuesday night game between Long Island and South Dakota State. Maybe they could meet in Kentucky or something like that. I don't know. But like whatever it is, it's the worst team in the field. And you play them in the first game. And so you have the opportunity to sort of cruise through that. You don't have to expend this emotional, sort of whatever to get through it. And you don't have to expend pitching to get through it. You have literally all hands on deck with the potential to go 2-0 against a really good team.
Yeah.
And you'll have your best bullets to do so. That's the advantage that you've already created for yourself before the games have even started. And so that is gigantic, obviously, going into whoever it might be, which I would expect it to be Ole Miss. But those, Arizona State can slug it. That's for sure.
I have no idea which one it'll be, but as you said, the biggest thing here is it may not matter that Arizona State's even in this field at all. You might never see them.
Might never see them.
They might just lose twice to Ole Miss, and
might not have to mess with
them.
They
might lose to South Dakota State on a bounce back game. Probably unlikely.
Well,
it has happened before.
Kansas lost to North Dakota State in a bounce back game last year in a regional that I was at. That was weird.
So
then Creighton almost lost to them too.
Right.
So it took a second, but yeah. The Big 12, by the way, we talked about Arizona State's at 3. No respect for the Big 12 this year, who only had, they had the two hosts at the end of the rainbow
15,
there
16
with KU and West Virginia, but just 15 and 16. And they, the TCU is on the outside looking in.
No Texas Tech this year.
No, yeah. I mean, and so you were missing a little strength at the top. Obviously, losing Oklahoma, Texas is a significant part of that. Arizona State gets a 3 when people kind of thought that they have
Cincinnati's
a chance to be
a 2, right?
Cincinnati is a 2, but
UCF's a 2.
Cincinnati's a 2 in Stark Vegas.
Yep.
UCF is a 2 in Auburn. I believe.
Those were the other teams I could think of from the Big 12.
And then so TCU is on the outside looking in. The other first 4 out, Mercer, who, man, there was quite the discussion about them yesterday about, that's a mid-major who played anyone and everyone at any time.
Mm-hmm.
RPI was good. All the metrics, all the metrics checked out. They just didn't get in because they didn't win their conference tournament. And that sucks. And that's the way it goes. Somebody's going to get screwed. Michigan has themselves to blame. If they would have beaten Nebraska in that late night game, then they may have been in the NCAA tournament. And then there's Pittsburgh.
Don't lose to Washington is what it comes down to for Michigan. You don't lose that game, you probably have a little bit better of a standing there.
And then there's Pitt, who was the other team that was the first 4 left out, who made a run all the way to the ACC semifinals and lost to Georgia
Purdue
Tech.
got left out too, right? Or did they?
Purdue's out.
Yeah, because there was some thought that they might get in as well. Nope. They did not.
Nope. So the Big Ten gets their 4, but they're all. Where did USC end?
They are playing in College Station, I'm pretty sure.
US.
Yeah, they're playing in College Station.
Oh, fun. Oregon State in the same regional. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Up in Eugene. I don't know how much you've looked at the board, but we talked about the quote unquote toughest regionals. An argument here is to be made for the Kansas Jayhawks, who had a great year. They won the regular season in the Big 12 and the postseason, the conference title in the Big 12. They get the 15 seed. They did get swept by West Virginia in their final weekend of the regular season, which hurt them. And Arkansas, who made a run all the way to the SEC final before getting disposed of by Georgia, who was an absolute wagon. Arkansas goes to Kansas, as does Missouri State, who those two teams played each other, and they will play each other in a rockin' atmosphere in the initial game, and the winner gets Kansas. Northeastern is tricky as well. That's the argument that KU has for the toughest regional over the Nebraska one. I would a whole hell of a lot rather play South Dakota State than I would Northeastern, who's been a power, in recent years, and they always
When they made it to CWS.
They all
Haven't?
no, I don't think Northeastern has.
I thought they made it one year. Maybe
Not recently. Not recently. Northeastern, not to be confused with Stony Brook.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of here, but I thought they made it. I know they've definitely had some pitchers drafted. In
Very
recent
much
years.
so. I believe that was the home of
Yeah, no,
Cam,
they haven't made it to CWS since '66.
I believe that was the home of Cam Schlittler.
Their tournament appearances in the 2000s, 2003, 18, 21, 23, 25, 26.
21, they were in the same regional as Nebraska, of course. That's where Nebraska had to beat Northeastern in their first game before getting the matchup with Arkansas. So yes, that is very challenging for them, and with the NCAA tournament, Miami and Florida, you can pretty much bet that they're going to be in the same regional every year or on the same path as each other, trying to get to the College World Series. Florida gets to host Miami as the 2 seed in their regional. There's like a Texas regional and all the stuff like that. I'm excited. It's postseason baseball time, ladies and gentlemen.
Get those quad boxes ready.
So you don't think you think we are going to get a Connor World Series? Is this what you're saying?
It would be my initial guess as of here Tuesday morning. It will be a Connor World Series. Should we on like Friday come and fill out our brackets and make our guesses as to who makes it all the way through?
We probably should.
We could do that.
We should do a bracket challenge. Do people do that? I think D1 Baseball has one.
We could try.
We could do a 1620 the baseball challenge. Just all the people working at 1620 zone.
Theo says, what did they say about Jordy's husband getting ejected from the softball game? Great question.
Who's they?
I think he's talking about us.
Oh.
Yeah, he was asking the chat, like, what did they say? We said, I'm team crotch chop.
Yeah, I don't think he should have been kicked out for it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
was a
there
little
was other
excessive.
things that were said, but if that was legitimately the only thing that transpired to get him kicked out,
it was a little excessive, but I don't mind a little excessive crotch chopping every now and then.
They're beating down a team and they're about to go to the College World Series. Like I'm okay with it.
I was worried about his
Those games were the atmosphere was awesome Thursday for the game that didn't happen, which made me sad because that environment would have been really cool. And then Nebraska just struck fast and with a fury both games. Like it was pretty cool to see.
We'll talk about that briefly when we start off the 9:00 hour and get to Nebraska softball, who certainly deserves their flowers for cashing in. I mean, they have done what they're supposed to do, and now they have a chance to win the national championship, which is pretty awesome. All right, we'll take a break. We will come back with Mitch Sherman from The Athletic, talking about this and plenty more on 1620 The Zone. All right, good morning and welcome back. More of Happer and Schaefer here on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. And we're joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. Mitch, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm well. I have a question. What are the criteria that have to happen in order for it to be a CWS Connor World Series?
A Connor World Series is, there's a few like kind of specific things that are a little bit down the line, but the most important thing for the Connor World Series is for Nebraska to not be in it.
Okay. Okay. It's good to know. So what else?
Here's the premise. Here's the premise that it is built on. When the College World Series happens, I like the College World Series, right? If Nebraska is in the College World Series, all of a sudden it is not the College World Series anymore. It's just Nebraska.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think you're probably in pretty good shape for at least that top criteria. They've got a steep hill to climb.
Yeah. I mean, I like, there's a couple quotas I'd like to hit, big dogs, underdogs, Cinderella or something like that. But mostly it's the lack of Nebraska that is the most important part.
All right.
You should really spend some time building that out for us, and then let us know this week.
I will. Okay. So you said, I think that you think that I'm going to be okay. The regional draw is difficult.
Odds favor you.
The odds favor me, but they haven't hosted a regional since 2008. We were talking about that, Mitch, to start the show. So let's just start there. Like the accomplishment that Will Bolt, it actually happened. They are hosting a regional, something that they talked about for a long time since Will Bolt got here. And I sort of thought, I don't know if it's likely in this conference that you're going to be able to do that. And they actually did it. How and why were Will Bolt and co. able to host a regional?
Well, they did what they needed to do in the non-conference early in the season. They fixed the problem that they've had in recent years with the midweek games, save for those two against Kansas. And then they're fortunate also that the team that they lost to in the midweek was a regional host, a Big 12 champion. So that doesn't hurt your metrics. And then they just were so resilient and dominant at times in the Big Ten. And it's a Big Ten that had four teams in the top 15 or 20 of the RPI, three hosts. So I would say that the stars aligned, that this kind of a season, even if you do everything right in building a roster, this kind of a season is going to be a bit of a rarity for Nebraska because of its position in the Big Ten and how slim the margin for error is. Like if you're in the SEC, you can expect to do this kind of thing every year, just because the things that are under your control can go right. But some things that were not under Nebraska's control had to go right to get the Huskers in the spot, and they did this year.
Besides just, scoring more runs than you allow, what would be the biggest reason as to why Nebraska could escape this regional, go on to potentially play Auburn in a super regional when you look at this team and you size it all up?
Well, I think you have to look at the whole regional. And I think if you're coming into this regional like Nebraska has in previous years where it's playing in that 2-3 game, it's daunting. You look at it and you go, oh my gosh, this is a terrible draw. This is one of the most difficult regionals on paper that you could imagine. And that's why I think when the conversations are had after the selection show, which regional is the hardest, like it's a totally different conversation from the perspective of a one seed like Nebraska than it is if you're Ole Miss or Arizona State. They have to play each other. Like they're going to take something out of each other. And as long as Nebraska handles its business against a low ranked 4 seed, then the fact that you have a tough region, the fact that this like could be in the category of toughest region, like that plays in Nebraska's favor. Because they're already going to, in theory, have had to use some pitching, the winning team that you would play on Saturday. And, you're not going to have to play them both at full strength. Like you get whoever emerges from that, you're going to get that team at close to full strength in the first game. And then if you can get through that or whatever the situation after that opening day, You're not going to. It's not like you're going to have to take on Ole Miss and Arizona State and fend them off both at full strength. Like if you do get them both, one of them is going to be significantly weakened, and they could arguably both be weakened because they had to go against each other. So I actually like the fact for Nebraska that it has a tough region because those teams can go ahead and beat each other up while Nebraska rolls against South Dakota State. If that's the case, it seems to be on paper, but we'll see. It has to be played on the dirt. So I think it sets up all right. Despite those power programs, and I'll also be curious to see. It doesn't look like looking at the we know what Haymarket Park can be, and it can be a launching pad if the weather is sets up a certain way. It's going to be hot or warm at least, but you're not going to see that one of those days with like 30 or 40 mile an hour wind, which could have been a disaster if it's set up that way with those two teams that have hit 100 home runs each.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Those teams they launched the ball, and I still think to a certain extent they'll enjoy themselves some Haymarket Park.
Yes.
Yes. With that being said, Mitch, I mean, big picture here. I made the argument earlier that Nebraska's sort of proximity to UCLA, USC, Oregon, good teams in their actual conference, that could make this possible, like more of a possibility to happen often than it was before. I do think those teams' addition have sort of changed the front face of this league as a baseball league. Can Nebraska do this more often now that they're in a, dare I say, halfway decent baseball conference with the addition of these West Coast teams?
Yeah. I mean, once the Big Ten has been set up like this now for 2 years. Once in 2 years, or even if it's once in 5 years, is more often than never doing it. And I think you're in a position in the old Big Ten. I mean, look how many Big Ten teams from the old guard of the Big Ten are playing in the postseason. It's Nebraska, and Nebraska's not
none of them. Yeah,
not really the old guard of the Big Ten. I'm talking like before 2024. So you would almost never see this in the old way of the Big Ten. I mean, you could have a team that was just like Indiana with Kyle Schwarber and a national champion caliber team with first round type players. And yes, you could roll off 48 wins and you're going to get a home regional, but short of something like that, just overwhelming talent. It was very rare in the old days of the Big Ten for anyone to host. And now I think like the margin for error, while it's still kind of slim for Nebraska, it's come down. And I don't want to say that Nebraska had to do everything right because it wasn't a perfect February. Like there were some disappointing days in February. That Stanford team that Nebraska lost big against is not a postseason team. Nebraska lost to Kansas State in the early part of the season. Didn't fare well in the second and third game at all against Auburn. So they didn't have to go out and like do what Nebraska softball did in the non-conference. You see the difference there when, the softball team scheduled even tougher than the baseball team, and they won more of the games. And, as a result, they were home all the way to the World Series.
You mentioned that softball team, and I kind of want to ask, as they look at their draw in the College World Series, you want to talk about things that seem like it broken pretty well for Nebraska. Is it weird to say that it feels like this is as great of a chance as they might ever have to win a college title in softball? I mean, you have the number one team on your side, obviously in Alabama, but there's no more Oklahoma in this tournament at all. Texas is on the other side. Texas Tech, another team that they played and know well, is on the other side. Tennessee's on the other side. I look at it for Nebraska, and it just feels like that it's a wide open path for them in this softball tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just said it, Mike. I mean, it's not that they could never ever have a situation like this again, but this is like it's a rare thing that everything came together for Nebraska softball with the roster, and that Jordy Fromm got the extra year, and so she's grouped with all of these players who have transferred in that they brought into the program. If everything would have worked out the way you expected when she transferred from Oklahoma, she never would have played with Alexis Jensen. Hannah Core and Jordy never would have been on the same team. She would have had just 1 year with the Kamenzine twins. So yeah, it worked out very well, and not just in putting that roster together, but on paper it worked out very well in the way the bracket sets up in Oklahoma City. I think. I mean, it's weird to just discard the number one seed,
Right.
say, and overlook out. I mean, obviously Alabama has put together a great resume this year, and Nebraska could go out and go 0-2, and nobody would be all that shocked with the teams that are in Oklahoma City. But yeah, the star power in that bracket, star power among those 8 teams, the team that like the names that people know around the country who are just like casual softball observers, like I would put myself in that category. Like I know the Texas pitcher who they rode to a national championship last year. I know Nigel Kennedy. Carlin Pickens, the Tennessee ace who's been around forever and commands the whole field when she's in the circle and beat Nebraska in the super regional last year. So they're on the other side. And I'm sure there's obviously there are great players on the Alabama roster, and Megan Grant up for UCLA is incredible and set the record for home runs. But Nebraska beat her and the Bruins 3 out of 4 times this year. So it's not as intimidating maybe as it would be to play some of those teams on the other side that you wouldn't have to see until the championship series.
All right, Mitch, we'll let you go. Thanks as always. Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you next week.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Mitch Sherman from The Athletic. And I mentioned about, and you said it, I think, Schaefer, things breaking the right way. We're going to talk about softball when we come back in a minute here. You could, I'm not making that argument because it would take credit away from what Nebraska as an athletic department, I guess, has done this year. But man, I mean, you just think, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, like all of these schools all of these teams having just historic seasons. I mean, hosting a regional, going to the Sweet 16, making the Women's College World Series just itself is unbelievable.
Right.
I mean, nobody's done that. Nobody does that.
I don't think that you are taking credit away from the teams for having success by acknowledging that they've taken advantage of the opportunities that have been set in front of them. Like that's the difference between Nebraska athletics this past year and what we have seen in the past, where it's like, okay, go do this and you're going to be fine. Well, then you don't do that. Whereas a lot of these teams are like, okay, this is what's in front of us. We've knocked it down. What's next? What's next? What's next? And there haven't been like the out of nowhere uncharacteristic losses. Like that's why the Ohio State weekend felt so bizarre.
There's been some great draws. Like I think basketball's NCAA tournament draw was good for them. I think once again, I'm not trying to take credit away from them, but baseball had a couple of surprising comeback wins and huge moments and wild 9th inning deals to get them into this spot. Softball has a generational player.
The crazy thing is going into that softball, it's like, okay, they've struggled with Ruby Malin. It's like, how many runs? That was a real question. Like, how many runs are they actually going to score? Like, Sevier asked Nate Rohr, like, hey, if we set the over-under on 10 runs across the weekend,
it felt like an under.
And he's like, well, with this pitching, it very well could be under. They nearly scored 10 runs in one game.
Yeah, no. They
just
absolutely dismantled them.
And the conversation, was, they only scored 7 runs in the whole regional. And is this offense capable of taking on the pitching as it gets better? And it's like, they just picked their spots. The ball went just far enough a couple times.
Okay. So I got a question for you. Maybe we spend a couple minutes on this next. Okay. There's always been this feeling, it is most prevalent in football because we hear most from football fans, right? Of like when it comes down to these big moments, you can depend on Nebraska to bleep it up, right?
Yeah.
Screw it up. Whenever they get the chance to do anything, whenever that door is slightly ajar, they slam their thumb in it and their thumb flies off or something, whatever it might be. Their thumb has been chopped off by the door. And the thumb goes flying across
somehow
the room.
Gets chopped by the door, but flies backwards.
And
back
stabs him in the
instead
eye.
of into the drawer or out of the room. Okay, I'm in.
Is the success this season by these sports and going deep into tournaments and having national relevancy and success, is this making you forget about some of that feeling? Is it changing some of that? It has energized the fan base in a way that I can't really describe.
Yeah,
And I think it is making.
I think it's a great way to put it.
I think it's making these people so confident in the thing, and that's all of the battle, right? When you get into these moments, you can't be shaken in your shoes, and like they have attacked and attacked and attacked, and I think it is absolutely been visible in the fan base.
Yeah.
That not only in them showing up to stuff as they always do, but there's not the moans and groans and the oh, here we go again, stuff. There's not that. It's not that feeling with any of these teams.
Yeah.
None. So let's just put a pin in that real quick, and we'll come right back and we'll discuss it on the other side. If you want to send us your thoughts, please do. 402-951-1620. We're back after this on 1620 The Zone. got a comment from the 402. It says, Connor, I think a lot of it is that people group these teams with football, softball, and baseball are well coached as opposed to not so much with football. I just mean from the perspective of like, once you get the good vibes rolling, once a couple good things happen, it's just a tough thing to stop. Momentum is an important thing in sports and how we think about sports. Like, and there's no doubt that people like these teams because they are good and they are well coached. And I do think that is a requisite for fans to really enjoy their watching experience, right? And not feel this existential dread coming whenever a third down happens or something like that. And that's obviously a really big part of this. But there's just this undeniable momentum right now that is happening with these sports. Who knows how long it lasts? But I do think it maybe has changed the chemistry of the fan base ever so slightly from I'm scared. I'm so scared. I'm a wimpy little baby to like, yeah, we're going to kick your ass today. You know, I think there's a real quiet well, sometimes not very quiet, just a confidence about the fan base now,
I think a lot of it, at least you derive it with basketball and baseball, I think is part of this too. Softball is certainly a part of it. It doesn't feel flukish. It doesn't feel fake. It feels like they go out there and they're competently playing their sport at a high level. There's not like a lot of mental errors or miscues or kicking the ball around or dumb things like that.
They're dependable. They make easy plays.
Yeah. In basketball, they closed out games at a pretty high level. In softball and baseball, they've closed out games at a pretty high level. Now, there's been dramatic, late innings or last second shots or whatever. But I just think the core competency is really high with all of these teams.
What was their
so that makes it easy to kind of believe it.
What was the most surprising loss that either men's basketball, baseball, or softball had this year?
Softball has none.
Was there what? I mean,
softball's losses are all basically to top 5 teams in the country, right?
I mean,
do they have? I guess Oklahoma State is their worst loss, who they just played in a super regional.
Baseball, I mean, their worst loss is to what, like Stanford or something like that? Like
it's either Stanford or
Ohio State.
Yeah,
I guess that was maybe the most underwhelming or surprising in a negative way thing that has happened to any 3 of those teams.
Okay. So just softball real quickly, their losses were Texas, Washington, Georgia, Tennessee, Oklahoma State, and then UCLA was their last
So
loss.
3 College World Series teams.
Yeah. And then Washington, I guess, is the worst one they lost to.
Yeah.
And they've been a College World Series team in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So
and basketball lost to nobody that they weren't supposed to lose to. With the
either you could argue the Elite Eight Iowa loss because of not being able to take advantage of sort of how well you started that game, or the Iowa City loss.
So there's just nothing to make you think like, oh God, here we go. The friggin', they're going to close the curtain on us. They're going to pull the rug out from underneath
UCLA, maybe because of when that game started and how poorly they played. It was the worst game they played all year.
Maybe. But even that, it's an NCAA tournament team.
I mean, so you don't really have
there hasn't been the feeling of existential dread. Like, I don't know. Can that carry into football season? I have no idea. Once again, you still have to see the team and like the team and all those different things. But it can get really contagious in my opinion.
Well, and this is where, you never know how these things play out, but it's like if Nebraska goes and they beat USC last year, how does the rest of November play out if they have some confidence coming off of that versus just giving another game away at home like they do?
Maybe.
So I think those things tend to build off of each other. I think Nebraska basketball built off of close wins against Oklahoma and Kansas State, teams that aren't great, but they had to come back and they had to win those games.
But that's the thing. Like, that's the problem with the USC game argument. Like, it did happen to them that way. Like their quarterback did get hurt.
Right.
And that was the bad, like that was the rug getting pulled out.
What I mean though is I think they're in a really it's a thin margin one way or the other. And again, if they can just win enough games to where there's actual confidence with it. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, it could start rolling from there. There's no doubt about it. All right, let's take a quick timeout. We'll come back. 9:00 hour still to come after this on 1620 The Zone. Thanks to John Bishop for retweeting this onto my timeline a moment ago. So here is the 2025 College World Series field in review and where they stand going into 2026. We have no postseason, regional 2 seed, regional 2 seed, no postseason, no postseason, no postseason, regional 2 seed, and finally regional host and number 1 overall seed UCLA with their entire team back from last year. That's right. Only one regional host out of a College World Series field from a year ago seems pretty unique, especially when you consider all the powerhouses that were in the field last year.
That's the thing.
And they host every year.
Okay, yeah, you have Murray State, whatever. They don't come back.
Right.
Not a big surprise.
But even those teams tend to win their conference tournaments the next year.
Mm-hmm. And now it's like, it's weird Louisville was as down as they were this year. It's weird that LSU has hit kind of this, I don't know what you would call it, but you're coming off of a great stretch where you were one of the best teams in college baseball for 3 out of the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they'll bounce back fine.
Yeah, no, they'll be fine, but it's just, you don't expect that. You just don't expect that drop off.
Arizona, always a really good team.
Very good. Yeah.
And then your regular hosts, like, LSU is a regular host, not in the postseason. Arkansas is a regular host, didn't end up getting, the
Arkansas feels very dangerous, by the way. They have caught fire in a way that I don't think you and I wanted that storyline at the same time. Yeah. I think you'd take Ole Miss over Arkansas.
They are 100%. Absolutely, if you're thinking about advancing, they are the preferred team. There's no doubt about that. Oregon State is a host every year. They didn't end up hosting. They get sent to, up the road to Eugene. And then, Coastal, they are usually hosts as well, and they end up being a 2 seed. And then there's UCLA, who there's always this thing with the number 1 overall seeds and how they don't win. They're usually here, they're usually in Omaha, but they don't win. And I mean, I don't know. There's something that just keeps sticking in the back of my mind of I don't know, UCLA. Is UCLA going to be here?
We'll find out on Friday when you put together your mock bracket.
That's true. I mean, I'm going to pick them to be here, but I just can't escape this feeling that they lose to somebody in a super. Ooh. They lose to West Virginia in a super or something.
Virginia's not bad.
I cannot escape that.
Wake Forest could be the other team there. They're in the West Virginia regional.
And by the way, that was not a bad field last year for the College World Series either.
I saw that in one of the comments on here. I was looking, I was like, no, there was quite a few national seeds in there and great teams. Yeah. So not entirely sure what we're saying here.
Nope. So we will
Murray
see.
State, I guess.
And don't forget our bracket sim of record coming up here in just a little bit. Saw this list from ESPN. Let's get to football for a second. Ranking all 138 FBS quarterback situations ahead of the 2026 season. I love when people do situations. It frustrates me to no end because nobody gives a rip about your quarterback room. Nobody cares about your quarterback situation. Nobody cares about what your quarterback is going to be like projected in the future. It's the stupidest conversation ever. All that anybody ever cares about is your starting quarterback this year. And this is mostly a mirror image of that. Although there are some instances where it's like, oh, they have this guy and they have this guy next.
Yeah, we had Max Olson on last week, and he had written this story. I don't know if you had a chance to see it when you were eating Skyline Chili out there in Cincinnati, but it's about the depth of sort of quarterback competition.
Yep.
Because you just, one, it's hard to have a room where you even have that many people with experience, but guys just are going places where they expect to be the starter. Like, you're just not even have competitions anymore.
Exactly.
So I am fascinated by this list.
So there is a tier 1A room at the top, 4 players. Miami with Darian Mensah, Notre Dame with CJ Carr, Ole Miss with Trinidad Chambliss, and Texas with Arch Manning, which is sort of an interesting group because none of them are like super duper proven is awesome. Like Trinidad Chambliss is, I guess. And I believe
he's like not necessarily proven in years of doing it, but like in any given moment, that guy, just because of what we saw at
total
the
game changer
playoff. Yeah. Like, you're not betting against
and like I love CJ Carr and I trust CJ Carr, but we don't have a whole lot. Like this is the new thing now. If you are good for like 4 games, that's enough information to go off.
It's wild that Oregon is not on there with Dante Moore.
Oregon is in the next group, I believe. Well, actually, no, there's a tier 1B. great, but also has Jeremiah Smith. That'd be Julian saying from Ohio State.
I'm surprised they didn't go with boring, but plays at Ohio State.
Nice. Tier 2, are you not entertained? LSU with Sam Levitt. Oregon, they do say with Dante Moore and Dylan Raiola.
Yeah.
And then USC with Jaden Mayava. They're definitely entertaining. There's something about each of those guys. I'll just say 3. Take out Dylan. I certainly don't trust Dylan, but the top, those 3, Levitt, Dante Moore, and Jaden Mayava, I get queasy. I don't really love what's happening there.
What's really funny to me is out of all the quarterbacks that you've said so far, the guy that I think is poised to have a monster year, and I'm just buying as much stock as I can, is Jaden Mayava. I believe in it. I believe in the system. It starts with that.
I don't like it. I've seen too many bad
multiple
things.
years of him in the Lincoln Riley system. They could be really, really good.
I have my brain has been poisoned by
Dude, I get it.
His
we watched
bad
what
throws.
He looked like here in Lincoln. It was horrible.
And it was horrible 2 years ago there too.
Yeah.
He should have thrown multiple pick sixes.
Yeah.
In that game.
Said he just threw one pick to
see right.
Right.
Yeah. And he should have thrown a second one on a game-winning touchdown pass.
Yeah.
He was horrible. Each of the 2 times he's played Nebraska. I just can't.
No, I totally get it. I'm buying it.
I can't do it.
I'm buying it.
I'm out. So this is good. This is a good split. Tier 3
is
is
a good point player for us to follow all year long.
Tier 3 is the Sean Clifford zone, which that's a pretty fun way to describe just mid but good quarterbacks who have good teams.
Interesting, Sean Clifford over a Trace McSorley, which is who I would think of.
But Trace McSorley was like a playmaker.
Yeah, he'd be more in that upper category, I think.
So Georgia with Gunnar Stockton, Indiana with Josh Hoover, Oklahoma with John Mateer, Penn State with Rocco Beck, Texas A&M with Marcel Reed, and Utah with Devin Dampier. I don't think that's probably giving a few of those guys enough credit. But because I think the Hoover guy at Indiana is going to be good, and I think Marcel Reed's really good, and I think Devin Dampier is really is really good.
If I had to pick one guy out of that group, it's probably Dampier. I'd be curious. Different setup at Utah, obviously, but we got to see that last year in that bowl game. Marcel Reed is fascinating. I think Texas A&M is kind of being slept on a little bit.
I know,
and they have a lot of talent.
Yeah, they were the classic team who made the playoff last year. Obviously, fell a little bit short, but they're going to probably be right back in that spot again.
I think so.
Tier 4 is better than you thought. Arizona with Noah Fafita, Houston with Connor Wiegman, who is still in college somehow. NC State with a couple of their guys, CJ Bailey and Will Wilson. I don't know those guys. SMU, Kevin Jennings is still in college, and Damon Williams is still at Washington, even though he tried to not be.
This is called this tier stills.
Yeah, still in their places. We have not heard from Tony yet. Tier 5. This is funny. Why are these all Penn State quarterbacks? The Christian Hackenberg paradox.
Whoa.
So, what is this? Everyone thinks they're going to be good, but they haven't been good throughout their whole career.
Could be.
BYU's Bear Bachmeier, the guy who wears number 47 or whatever. The Cal guy that you love.
Yeah.
JKS.
Needs to be higher. He's better than multiple quarterbacks that are above
And
him.
this is a good one. This fits here pretty well. Bryce Underwood.
Yeah.
Bryce Underwood
could be lower.
Bryce Underwood at Michigan was mostly terrible last year. And thank you, please, Joey. Yes.
They're terrible.
It never gets old for me. But people still believe in him and they think he's good. I don't know why. Probably because he plays at Michigan. He's got a lot of I don't know.
Weird. Overvaluing a Michigan quarterback. That's never happened in the history of time.
9.
I mean, it's not even just him. It's Tate Forcier. It's Denard Robinson before he was good.
By the way, I got a tweet.
Any number of these.
I got a tweet from Sam who was patrolling this show last week and said that you were trying to trade 9 for a third rounder and you were getting no pushback. What's the deal on this?
People would push back on that?
A third rounder? He's not going for a third rounder.
He might.
You can't get a third rounder for that guy.
No, you cannot.
Oh, I think
a third rounder?
Yeah.
That's way too good.
No.
Way too good. You're going to have to trade him for like a 6th at this point.
Trade him for a
we never
decent
go back and
offensive
look at what quarterbacks have been traded for here recently, but a cost-controlled quarterback that was a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Someone would take a look at that. He's not in the Anthony Richardson category at this point.
Oh, he's close. He's close.
He's only had 1 year. That's the difference.
I would like to do a study on that. Obviously failed obviously failed high draft pick quarterbacks and what they end up getting traded for. That feels like you're just ditching
Trying to
weight.
think of what Carolina traded for Sam Darnold.
That might be a pretty good. Well, how far was he into his Jets deal at that point? Like,
it was year 3 or something.
They traded a 2021 6th-round pick, a 2022 2nd-round pick, and a 2022 4th.
Okay, so maybe some future, some future higher.
I mean,
rounds.
if you were like, yeah, the 4th is the best that they could get, I'd be like, okay, I don't.
Because Darnold was definitely good and washed by that point.
He had the butt fumble at that point. He didn't butt fumble.
He had
mononucleosis.
Yeah. He had mononucleosis. He was out indefinitely.
So, I mean, if maybe a 3rd is too high for some, I don't think that's that unreasonable.
Okay.
Particularly coming off a draft where none of the quarterbacks were well regarded after about the 2nd.
Just want to make sure. Just want to bounce it off you. All right.
Fine.
We have reached tier 6. Welcome to the big leagues. Auburn's Byron Brown, Nebraska's Anthony Calandria, and Oklahoma State's Drew Mestemaker are in this. So here's what they say about Calandria. He's already spent 2 years playing Power 4 football at Virginia, where he was viewed as an intriguing prospect who just needed to balance his playmaking ability with less risk-taking. It took a step down to the Mountain West for it to all click into place, however. Now he's at Nebraska, where that program is star for a star quarterback. Calandria's 74.9 QBR last year would have been the best by any Nebraska player since at least 2004, which is kind of nuts. No returning quarterback saw a bigger increase year over year in total QBR from 2024 to 2025. He was horrible at Virginia in 2024. Then Calandria, who went up 27.8 points in ESPN's made-up QBR stat. That's
the critical thing there.
Yeah. Sorry. Please note, this is ESPN's made-up QBR stat that we are talking about. It's sort of fascinating. So you're balancing, well, Nebraska hasn't had really good quarterback play in a long time. This guy was really good last year, hasn't been really good in his career in general, did also play the Mountain West last year, very, very different from the Big Ten. You're sort of balancing all that stuff to project what he's going to end up
If you're
being.
Matt Rule, you end up with Anthony Calandria. Do you call Dan Mullen? You're just like, hey, how did this work? What? Because you can film study, obviously, right? Yeah. But there's so much that happens in the development and all of it, the preparation, that's never on film. And so I wonder
what kind of headspace did you get this guy into?
I would love to know more about is how much do you talk to the school of which the player is coming from? And how open is that school? Is Nebraska, if someone's asking about Keona Davis, is, Nebraska, and obviously his defensive line coach, coordinator were fired. So I don't know there, but is someone
be more likely to help
about it? Because the coaching community is pretty insular. These guys talk to each other and interact with each other a lot. And, I don't know what crossover for Dan Mullen and Matt Rule exists.
I think if there's one lesson from just historically how we've seen these things play out, you cannot turn a guy into something that he's not. I think Nebraska's tried that before. They've let's turn a turnover prone guy into a guy who just is in less position to have turnovers, and then maybe the turnovers will go down. You're kind of getting what you're going to get. You just have to figure out what the best position to put him in, but you're not going to get this dramatically different result.
I think that's true to a point, unless it's just you're putting someone in a system. Because Jalen Hurts from Alabama, I never could have imagined being Jalen Hurts at Oklahoma. Yeah. But that system was so all-encompassing that it allowed him to sort of take off as a player that I don't think would have ever happened without it, which is part of why I would be betting on Jaden Mayava, because I think that system still works in college football. Now,
but he's already played.
A huge example of this is the guy that you were talking about earlier on this list, and Josh Hoover. If he goes to the Kurt Cignetti system, and he goes from a guy that people were like, okay, pretty good quarterback, puts the ball in harm's way a ton, not the most efficient, but then you put him in the Cignetti system, and then suddenly there's not that many turnovers.
That's what I trust.
The ball is being distributed perfectly. The decision-making is crisp. then it just answers what I think we've always known, which is the system is almost much more valuable than the individual player when it comes to college football.
Yeah, it is. It is. Definitely most of my reason for trusting Hoover is because of Cignetti.
I totally understand.
He did it twice, and he did it with. And it's not that he just did it twice; it's that he's done it twice with the two players he did it with.
Yeah. Curtis Rourke.
Yeah, we were working it. We were working it in 2024.
Enthusiasm, and Mendoza was solid, but there was no way anyone saw that.
He was not the number one pick. There's dear God. All right, let's take a break. We'll have Jacob Adilla when we return here on 1620 The Zone.
Go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go. Go, Pack, go.
Jacob Padilla, Herd at Sports, your source for Creighton hoops and Packers banter. Jacob Padilla on Happer and Schaefer, 1620, The Zone.
All right, joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Jacob Padilla from Herd at Sports. Hi, Jacob. How are you?
Good morning, Connor. I'm doing all right.
Good. Are you prepared for a world where the Knicks win the NBA Finals?
Not really, because I'm not sure I'll be able to deal with Rico at the office. Like, honestly, I'm not sure his head will fit through the door if they win.
He does love the Knicks. It started with his love of Carmelo Anthony, and then it just transferred, I think, over to the Knicks. He's very big on the memes. Has he sent you many memes?
So many memes.
Not yet. Thankfully, he's not sent things to me directly, but
They're out there.
I think we're all going to hear about it in the office if they actually win the whole thing.
Okay, so let's just spend a second on this. They just crushed everybody on their path to the. I don't think anybody has crushed anyone with this much,
Crushing power.
Crushing power, and has been less talked about. And they are the Knicks, because everybody just thinks they're going to get bowled over in the finals by whatever team comes out of the West. I mean, we should give the Knicks their appropriate due here, even if it does make Rico's head a little bit bigger.
Yeah, it is kind of a strange phenomenon because the New York Knicks aren't getting enough attention.
Yeah.
What? But it is true. Like, this is like historic stuff that they're doing right now. Like the run that they've been on since dropping that second game in the first round. Like they've just destroyed whoever's been in front of them. And 11 in a row, whatever. It's been amazing to see the things that they figured out. Like, they obviously, the reason they weren't viewed this way going in is because they had some pretty clear flaws and some things that teams could exploit and things that have cost them in the past. And they figured out a way to play that the teams in the East have not been able to exploit those past weaknesses. And they've just destroyed them. They just made every shot they took in this last one. And the Cavs, pretty clear the last two games that they gave up. They did not have it. But now we move forward to the finals and whoever they face. But whoever comes out of it will have something that is different than anything the Knicks have faced thus far. But that being said, especially they'll have the rest, and those two teams are just beating the heck out of each other in the West. And who knows who will even be healthy by the time the winner makes it to the final. So they are a very they certainly got a real chance here to win this thing, even though everybody felt and probably still feels like the Spurs and the Thunder are better teams. Knicks are playing better than anybody right now, and they're healthier than both Western Conference finalists.
Is it too dismissive to say that part of why they're playing better than everybody right now is they played a 6, a 7, and a 4 on their way to the finals? Like you only play who you play, right? But some of it is that they haven't had to play another great team at this point in time.
Yeah, that's part of it, and that's probably goes back to why people aren't talking about them and how historic this run has been, just because they do feel like, but it's the East, and the West is certainly not the East. And so whoever they face is going to be a tier or two higher than anything they've played against thus far. So it's kind of hard to know how to translate or project based off, they're winning the games they should win, but they're doing it by a lot. What they've done in these closeout games has been amazing. Just completely crushing the will of the other team early, and then just cruising through the whole thing and doing whatever they wanted. So that's kind of, I think, where we're at heading into the finals here. It's all right, how much credit do you give them for how dominant they've been versus, okay, they've done what they're supposed to, and now they're pending the health
situation. Like, they're going to be an underdog going into the finals, most likely, for a team that's been on such a hot streak. That's kind of crazy, but that's the situation that we're in right now with East versus West.
How much of this do you think matters that it wasn't Tom Thibodeau? Like, is there an element of this where if it's still the Tom Thibodeau Knicks, like, they don't make this run? Do you think it's that big of a difference with the coach and the style and everything else?
I do. And like Tom Thibodeau, he had a phenomenal run. Like, he was really good for his time. Did some incredible things, but a lot of coaches, they kind of the game evolves past them, and sometimes they don't adjust. And Tibbs seems to be kind of one of those that is set in his ways. And I know a lot of people clown the Knicks after hiring Mike Brown, and it was probably one of them. It's like, okay, you fired a coach with a ceiling to hire another coach with a pretty clear ceiling in his career. And here he is breaking through that ceiling. And like, some of the adjustments they've made throughout the playoffs have played a big part in them getting on this run. And I just don't think that's something that Tibbs would have done. And like, the kind of the evolution of Karl Anthony Towns into the hub of the offense and what that's done for Jalen Brunson and other guys, like, and Mikal Bridges, the way that he's playing, like, just, it's hasn't done anything, I think, super crazy, but he's been willing to switch some lineups and, again, switch the offense and kind of how they're initiating things in order to fully weaponize this team and make them that much harder to guard. And Brown certainly deserves credit for that and figuring some of these things out.
Is there any way where Spurs Thunder doesn't go 7?
I think so. Like, I'm guessing it will, but like, it's hard to know, just like with the health of both these teams. Like, Thunder with AJ Mitchell and J-Dub out, that's a lot of firepower. And this last game is probably the first time that it really got to them. You can only rely on your 8th through 11th men to be like starter caliber players for so long. Eventually, like, those guys just aren't going to have it in a game, and nobody had it for the Thunder in that last game. And that's the value of having so many guys that can really go get a bucket. Is one or two guys are off, your role players aren't knocking down shots, you still got guys that can put the team on their back. And right now, Shay's the only player like that on the team, and the Spurs obviously know that, and they're loading up and having that 7'5" guy back there certainly makes it a lot more difficult to try to play through one guy. You have to be able to shift the defense and attack from multiple angles and make it that much more difficult for him to protect the rim. So we'll see kind of what happens with those guys. Like, if the Thunder can get those guys back, I still feel like they're the favorite, but without them, like, the Spurs are probably in the driver's seat. That being said, we've seen how good this team is, and they've won games without those guys being significant factors. And so you got a few games left here to, like, you need to take 2 of the next 3. I certainly believe that that's within them.
I don't know that I've ever asked you this, but how do you feel about sort of the flopping, the foul baiting, all of that as it relates to this Thunder team in particular and its star player?
I like a lot of things. I think a lot of fans just latch on to something that it's definitely there, but like, it's a very small part of the actual 40 minutes on the court. Guy like Shea, like, yes, like, some of this stuff are like, all right, do you really need that? On the other hand, like, he moves unlike anybody else. And like, the shots that he's able to make, the shots he's able to generate, just with the change of pace and just kind of the way he slinks around the court. And the reason he gets the line a lot is because he gets fouled a lot, because it's hard to stay in front of him and hard to kind of read the way that he's moving around the court, just because he's so mastered his body and his ball handling and the way that he can get to his spots on the floor. And so, like, yeah, I think, like, you can focus on the meme accounts that put out highlight clips of just the flops and stuff, but like, again, it's a very small part. Just sit down and watch the whole game, and you can be annoyed by some of those plays, but there aren't that many of them in the grand scheme of things. So just focus on the full thing. Like, yeah, it's annoying. Like anytime, I mean, and it's not just them, it's everybody. It's like the whole league plays that way to a certain extent. Like you'll find guys on every single team. You'll find guys that just play to draw fouls rather than playing basketball. You'll find that on every single team because of the way the league is. So it's not just a Thunder thing. Like they certainly have the reputation of being the worst at it, but it's not like the free throw differential has been crazy in their favor. I think they're even behind. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I think I saw something about that in this series. So yeah, some of that's annoying, but I think if you focus just on that, you're missing the forest for the trees.
Okay, a Creighton question. So we know we get another addition to the non-con schedule, at least written in stone, with the matchup at the Players Era being against Michigan. So if you put this thing all together, you have a definitive game with Michigan, and then we'll see what happens after that in the Players Era. Another good team, potentially another two good teams. You have a home game with Gonzaga. You have a home game with Nebraska. You have a what else? What else is out there that I'm missing right off the top of my head? The K-State game on the road.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's another one-off non-con game that I'm missing in here too. Either way, they have not.
Aren't they playing Iowa?
They are playing Iowa. Thank you.
There it is.
Thank you, Schaefer. Good job.
Look at you, Schaefer.
Look at that ball
Just
knower.
Trying
Creighton
to get
ball
involved
knower
here.
Mike Schaefer. So with that being said, they have not backed off on their on apparently the Creighton wide held opinion of we play tough non-cons. Al Huss has not backed off of this. And I wonder what that means for a group that yet again will have to sort of come together early in the season.
Yeah. That's something every team is gonna have to navigate now, just with the way these rosters are built. And you can't if you want to get some games, you can't dictate when they're going to happen. You can't just all right, let's play 6 bye games to start the season, and then we'll have 2 tough games and another 2 bye games, and then 2 more tough games to close up the non-conference. Like after we found our footing and everything, the teams you're playing have to navigate the same thing too. And obviously Michigan, they lost a ton from that championship team, so they're going to have to rebuild. Gonzaga's got quite a bit back that they're going to have to replace some key players. So, and then Iowa, same thing. They're going to be a completely different team than last year. So, yeah, it's you'd like to know a little bit more about yourself before you face the toughest teams. That being said, it's also good to learn about yourself with those tests. I mean, I think we learned quite a bit about what this Creighton team was going to be last year with that Gonzaga game. We didn't quite know it to the full extent at that time,
right.
But what we saw in that game ended up kind of holding true throughout most of the season.
It sure did. Yeah.
So they're valuable measuring sticks, no matter when they happen. And you'd much rather have these on the schedule than not. I mean, you can certainly play the game where you kind of game your schedule and try to rack up the wins and just rely on your conference schedule or whatever. But I much prefer this method of, let's see where our team's at. And I think this non-conference will balance that pretty well. You'll still have bye games to kind of figure some things out, but you also have those tough tests sprinkled throughout to kind of see your progress and see where you're at, and then help you learn, all right, these are the areas that we really have to address in order to be the team we want to be.
Where are you at this weekend?
I'm off. This was our last trip of the spring. Kids get a week or so off, and then they're into high school stuff in June. So I'll be buzzing around that stuff this next month. But this week I get to rest a little bit, catch up on some things.
Also, do you have any opinions on where any of the state tournaments should be in any of the local sports?
Where they're at, where they're all at.
I think that's well done. Thanks, Jacob. See you later.
No problem. Bye, guys.
Jacob Dill from Herd Dad Sports, covering a little bit of everything. So Nebraska softball, obviously, in the Women's College World Series, haven't got a chance to really dive headfirst into it, but you get the story. They're really, really good. They have a chance to win a national championship. And the Women's College World Series, much like the Men's College World Series, is on Westwood 1.
Which means
The Huskers are on 1620 The Zone on Thursday in their Women's College World Series opener, 8:30, when they take on the Arkansas Razorbacks.
Look at that.
Can you believe that? On 1620 The Zone of all places. And then they'll be on 1620 The Zone for the rest of the tournament, obviously, as well. So you can listen to the Nebraska College World Series run with the national broadcasters right here on 1620 The Zone. So please do so. We will take a quick time out. We'll be back. Our bracket sim of record. Or do we wait until, do we give it a couple sims and we wait till Thursday to do our bracket sim of record?
I would think we'd wait until Thursday for that one to be the actual
Okay.
one. I think we see how it plays out.
We'll give it some
on
spins.
Tuesday and Wednesday. And then Thursday, that's the locked in one.
All right.
I mean,
Good.
technically, it could be Friday morning, but I'd rather it be Thursday.
We'll give it some spins,
Okay.
and we'll see what it turns out on the real bracket. Coming up next on 1620 The Zone. See how Bryce Harper brushes his teeth?
Yeah, this was a discussion amongst my text group.
So Bryce Harper, I mean, who I have never had a problem with. He's on Josh Odson's, people of interest list. He hates him.
Well,
Makes sense.
NL East guy.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, I never really get the hate for the guy is whatever. I don't have a problem with him. And in fact, I would actually steer toward liking him.
Yeah, I would say that I'm a Bryce Harper fan.
And then he goes and makes a video. He's making videos in the offseason. He's cooking stuff, and during the season, he's just doing everyday things. And he goes to brush his teeth and he's telling some story or something like that. And he jams the roll of toothpaste into his mouth and instead of putting the toothpaste on the toothbrush, he puts it in his mouth then starts brushing his teeth.
He's like a fat person using the spray cheese, just putting it right in his mouth and skipping the cracker as a vehicle.
It's like he's eating a Go-Gurt, but then he's using the Go-Gurt as toothpaste.
What a horrible Go-Gurt.
This is so weird.
Yeah,
I don't know where he learned that. I don't know if he's a weirdo and thinks it's like, I do it because it's more efficient and it's fun or something. Like, no, nobody ever brushes their teeth differently, but Bryce Harper, I guess, is the first guy. What an odd guy.
Professional athletes and toothpaste. Ray Allen once had to change roommates because he didn't like the way his roommate used his toothpaste.
Maybe that's how they taught him in JUCO or something like that. What did Ray Allen?
Ray wanted his roommate was pushing from the middle of the toothpaste and not from the bottom and inching it all the way up.
Okay, that is frustrating.
So he like admitted he has like OCD. He's like, I couldn't handle it. I had got a roommate change because of it.
It is
does
It
look
was like
a
another
guy.
UConn basketball player, but I remember him telling that story.
Interesting. Okay, our bracket sim. Let's head there. We have a real life bracket to
This
simulate.
is great.
Real life bracket to simulate today.
All the teams.
Where, of course, Nebraska is hosting the Lincoln Regional as the number 13 seed, hosting the University of Mississippi, Arizona State, and South Dakota State. We press the button, and it does have Nebraska advancing to the Super Regional where they lose to the Auburn Tigers.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, indeed. Bracket sim number 1 dies. By the way, Arkansas wins the KU Regional, which I don't know that would be particularly surprising to very many people. For the Connor World Series of West Virginia, Florida, North Carolina, Auburn, Oklahoma, Florida State, Texas, and Georgia. Maybe a little too heavy on the Southern flair there. Texas.
Whereas I don't have much Southern flair at all over here in the one that I ran.
Oh, fun. What do you got?
We've got UCLA, who loses to Cincinnati in the championship game.
Whoa.
Southern Miss, North Carolina, Auburn, Georgia Tech. Oh, Oklahoma State. I thought that was Oregon State. Oklahoma State, Texas, Cincinnati.
Huh.
Kind of a weird group.
Interesting. Which region is Cincinnati's in Starkville. Interesting.
They take out Georgia.
Georgia is one that so UCLA, so teams that it would be difficult to see them lose. And inevitably one or two of them will before the College World Series. But if I had to stake myself to a couple, UCLA, obviously.
Yeah.
Georgia and Georgia Tech. I mean, those have been.
Georgia won the tournament and won the regular season for
Correct.
the SEC, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Same with Georgia Tech.
I want to ask you maybe kind of a weird question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Is there a team where you're like, if I could absolutely, and I can obviously divorce Nebraska from this because then it wouldn't be a Connor World Series. Is there a team that you absolutely want to see here in Omaha out of the entire field? If you're like, if I could just make sure that these guys make it.
I do love it. I mean, it's some of the traditional ones. I do love it when Arkansas is here.
Mm-hmm.
I like it when North Carolina's here. It just feels right to me.
I want Georgia Tech to make it.
I do too.
They bomb the hell out of the baseball. So I kind of want to see it. I feel like they've been on the precipice. The other one would be, I think it'd be cool if Southern Miss actually gets through and finally gets
do it.
CWS.
Yep. How about Oregon? Can I convince you on Oregon? I know there's some bad blood here, but
I mean,
Oregon's been on the
from
doorstep for a while.
Baseball standpoint, they have some really interesting players that are freshmen. These guys, if you're in the Big Ten, you're going to see them conceivably, assuming they don't get a bunch of money to go to an SEC school. you're going to see them for at least a couple more years.
They've been on the doorstep for a long, long time. Yeah. Let me throw another one in there. How about NC State sending off Elliott Avent, just barely making the tournament, showing up as the 3 seed in the Auburn Regional, might have a trip to Lincoln in a super. That would be interesting.
That would be interesting. Yeah, they're in there with UCF, which I don't know if either of those teams probably have enough to take Auburn out.
I don't think so either.
That's why they play it.
That is our bracket sim of the day, ladies and gentlemen. We only have a couple more before it's go time. We appreciate you guys joining today. As always, if you miss anything, we had great conversation today. 1620thezone.com is where you can find it. Crossover with Matt's coming up next.